It's a hard world to get a break in, and the good things have been taken. But girl, there are ways to make certain things pay. Oh, I'm dressed in these rags, I will sable someday. Hear what I say, I'm gonna ride the serpent. No more time spent sweating rent. Hear my command, I'm breaking loose. It ain't no use me down. Stick around, but baby, remember, it's my life and I'll do what I want. It's my life and I'll think what I want. Show me I'm wrong, have me some time, but someday you'll treat me real fine. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, citizens of planet Earth and beyond, stretching far off into the galaxy, as far as your mind's eye and your imagination can take you. Welcome to the Pork and Bean Show, starring Pork Cunningham and Frank Oliver Baines. Allow us to introduce you to new thoughts, put questions in your head, and consider things you never considered before. Where the paranormal becomes normal, where unreal becomes real, where time and space cease to exist, and where love is everything. Fasten your seatbelts and enjoy the ride.
Yeah. For me and the Lord, you gotta understand it. We're on a mission from God.
10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody. This is the Pork and Bean Show. I'm Frank Oliver Beans, and my esteemed maestro in charge of everything, or maybe he's over here. Depends on whether we flipped around. If I'm flipped around, if I'm flipped, where I'm looking at, he's over here. But to you, he may be over there. But that's Pork Cunningham, and we do the Pork and Bean Show. And I don't know how to do the intro. I never did the intro, but maybe you should take over.
Well, I think I'm going to have to do it. You're not doing it very well.
Fail.
You epic fail.
Epic.
Epic fail. Hey, everybody. This is Pork Cunningham. I'm here with my distinguished co-host, Frank Oliver Baines. And this is the Pork... It's a Pork and Bean Show. I don't know why I get a kick out of saying your name. But I certainly do. And anyway, we got a real interesting show today, and our guest is...
I already said this is the Pork and Bean Show, and I already introduced us. So skip to the part where you start saying something.
That's the only thing you did correctly, though. You got the name right. But today's guest is Robin Haynes McCRAY, and we're going to bring her on in a bit. But we'll talk a little bit. And so, how you been doing, Frank?
I've been doing good. I've been feeling the SASQUATChy people, and we're all gonna die on Facebook with the corona whatever. And I don't care about any of that stuff. The sun's shining, beautiful day, fantastic light on the trees this morning when I went out for a walk. You got that golden light that hits the trees in the morning, you know, and it's like just like they're dark with this little golden strip on them, and beautiful watching the sun.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what's going on with me today.
Early mornings in the woods around here when the sun's filtering through the trees. Oh, just gorgeous.
Just magic.
Absolutely epic. So
I had a nice meditation this morning. That's always nice.
how do you do that? I've never been able to turn my mind off.
It's too complicated for you.
I know it is. It's too much for me to comprehend.
You're meditating all the time. You're just not meditating very well. That's the whole thing.
Oh,
Everybody's meditating all the time. It's called life.
really?
Yeah. Just like for example, yoga, right? That, you know, people have these little postures of like, you know, something you can spin your back or touch your toes or stand on your head, right? That's yoga, right? But the yoga
What's your
people,
flavor? Like I like the raspberry myself.
not yogurt, yoga. The yogurt,
Oh, they're different?
yeah, one you eat and one you perform. But at yoga, they say there's 50,000 yoga postures, of which, you know, what it is, 200 are important, and of those 50 are necessary, or some kind of stuff like that. So basically every posture that you're in is a yoga posture.
Wait a minute.
And every breath you take is a meditation.
Wait a minute. There's 50,000 different positions you said?
Yeah, like this.
And only
this,
50 are
everything
important?
is a position. Whatever position you can imagine, that's a yoga position.
Well, I've imagined quite a few. Well, that's another
All
story. That's
more.
a totally other subject.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, it sounds like a lot, but it's 25,000 for you and 25,000 for if you have a guest.
But this is what I don't understand. You said 50 are important, and there's 45,000, or how many? 50,000?
I don't know, 6,000, something like that. There's a bunch of whatever, however many kind of postures you could think of.
Okay, so 50 are important, and the rest don't mean anything.
Yeah, the rest are just what you call normal. See this? This is a yoga posture.
That looks like you're scratching your forearm.
I am, but that's a yoga posture. People don't know that. So everybody's doing yoga all the time, and everybody's doing meditation all the time.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Well, you know
bored with this. Let's get on with the show.
You know what's exciting is that we've got 6. How many people do we got? 1, 2. Well, you don't count. So 1, 2.
And you don't count either.
No. So I'm not going to count us. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got like 4 people on waiting to get in, just to make comments or the peanut gallery, basically.
Well, let them in then. Just block their hootie done it. That's like, you know, administration work.
Oh, okay. Okay. Say something astute and interesting, because I gotta message somebody quickly.
I'm supposed to say astute and interesting.
Something
Well,
astute and interesting.
let me see. I'm going to try to spiritual Sasquatch. So I'm going to share this thing with the spiritual Sasquatch group. And then the next one I'm going to share it with is the Res Squatching Research Community. Yay, Res, Barry Webster, one of the best guys out there. And he has a great group. I think he's got like 6,000 or 7,000 people in there. This guy's, you know.
He wrote a good book too. I think it's called The Dictionary.
No, not Barry Webster's different
Webster's
than
Dictionary.
Daniel Webster.
Oh, he's the dictionary guy?
This guy, he's got the Res Squatching Community. Res Squatching Community.
Yeah, but who
Yeah,
cares?
that guy's seen Sasquatch 200 times. Okay, and he shook hands with a you know, 10-foot tall invisible Sasquatch, and 8 people saw him do it. That guy's famous.
Yeah, but what about the dictionary guy? Is he his brother, or he's not the same guy?
No, they're 200 years apart. That guy Webster guy died 200 years ago.
Oh, I guess they're not the same person then. Okay.
No. Bigfoot, Britain and Ireland. I used to spend my summers in Ireland, and you would never believe that that Bigfoot lives in Ireland, but they do. There's not very many trees there. There's not a lot of, and everything's been lived on for so long. It's like but it's a beautiful place. So I can see why the Sasquatch would like it.
You know that story, the Kon-Tiki?
Kon-Tiki about
That
going
raft
over
that
there
went
to
around the world or something in?
the whatever this Easter Island or something.
I don't know. It was some big raft or something, and the guy went all around.
Oh, Kon-Tiki, right, to the Easter Island.
Yeah. Well, I had a vision when you said that about going to Ireland. I visualized you in a loincloth with a big thing going to Ireland on the Kon-Tiki or a Kon-Tiki lookalike kind of thing. No,
Ireland's too cold for a what do you call it?
we'll put a jacket on.
Look, it's cold. I'm telling you, man. It's like the average temperature in Ireland is like 50 degrees.
Yeah. So put a winter jacket on.
Okay. I'd rather go out to Easter Island. I wonder if Easter Island had any Sasquatch on it. I think it was a Sasquatch that moved those big heads around.
I'd like to go on an Easter egg hunt on Easter Island. That would be cool. That'd be pretty cool. Okay.
So what are we killing time for? I thought we were supposed to go. Is there something you're trying to do there?
No, why don't you introduce our guest and I'll bring her on. I mean, you know Robin better than I do. I'm going to get to know her, which will be fun. Introduce her and I'll bring her on.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. No, hold on a second. We got to do the mailbag first. We got somebody who wants to ask the mailbag.
Oh yeah, the mailbag.
Okay. So we're gonna bring Rhonda Elliott on. She's got a question for us.
Hello, Brian.
Hey, how you doing?
What if I should
I'm
have some
good.
more light? Does that look
Thanks for
better?
inviting me in.
Yeah, generally,
That's fun.
The post office is mad at me because they won't deliver the mail to me anymore. We get so many fan letters that I have to pick it up. So generally, I just pick a letter out of here, but do this kind of thing random. But it's kind of nice to have a live question. So.
Whoa, yes, wait a minute, Mr. Postman. Wait, hey, Mr. Postman. Hey, Mr. Postman, you can't see. Whoa, yeah. Please, Mr. Postman. Whoa, yeah. There must be some word today, yeah, from my boyfriend so far
Okay,
Yeah,
here's my live question. And it's sort of Sasquatch related, but not totally. This is something that's been bothering me all my life. And maybe you guys can help me with this. If UFOs are trying to disguise themselves from us, why do they always show up with blinking lights or lights in the sky? Like, it's pretty obvious at night that that's something that they're trying to draw attention to us. So why do they have lights if they're trying to be secretive? If that's what they are trying to be.
I would say that, you know, just like the Sasquatch, they want people who they are connected with and that they know to. What are you shaking your head for, Beans? See what I'm dealing with here with this guy?
I'm
I would say
hanging on every word.
See, I mean, for instance, like, I'm going to bring the Sasquatch into this, and I will bring it around to your question. Because, like, for instance, I met a guy, and, you know, this is very common, a guy who had a hiking club, and he went in all the places I go to and more, like all over, up mountains, down mountains. You know, this guy was like a mountain goat. And, you know, he was in all the places I've been for like 50 years or something and whatever. And he just poo-pooed the idea of Sasquatch, like just laughed at it. And that's because they don't want to connect with him. They've got no interest in connecting with him. So they hide themselves from him. But with people like myself and the astute, honorable, I'm exaggerating there, but Beans, you know, they are interested in connecting with us. And I think it's probably the same with the UFOs. If you know, I would think. What do you think, Beans?
Did you ever notice that beans are never alone? We have
No.
a unity thing going on.
I've never seen a solitary bean.
Okay, you want to know the answer to that
Sure.
in relationship to Sasquatch, right? Now,
Oh, just okay.
the star people wanted to land on Earth, you know, and start to set up a little business and, you know, cultural exchange in 2012. But the government kind of messed it up, right? And we weren't ready. So can you imagine what if you're a star person and there's all these different kind of star people, right? There's every kind of size and shape, color, humanoid, insectoid, and things that don't even look like anything but a, you know, like a squid or something. Okay, so you have all these guys, they want to come and be able to visit planet Earth. What do they need from us? What do the star nations need from us in order for them to feel comfortable on Earth? You ever thought of that? What do you think?
Invitation.
Invitation? That would be nice. It would also be nice if we didn't kill them. You know, we didn't shoot them.
Yeah.
It would also be
Yeah.
nice if we didn't run down the street with our hair on fire saying the aliens are coming, the aliens are coming. So the aliens have got together with the Sasquatch people. And because aliens are non-human intelligent beings that live off the planet, and Sasquatch are non-human intelligent beings that live on the planet. So they're giving us enough time to connect to the Sasquatch people who look different than us. They're bigger and scarier. And if once we get to the point where we can accept these big, powerful, non-human intelligent beings, and then we can accept the dog man and all the little gnomes and fairies and all that. So once we can kind of get to accept that, then then we'll be what they call ready for you know, if some strange looking people want to sit up in your you know, in your car park and start making UFO parts. You know, or they want to set up medical clinics or something.
They're coming up on you.
These people looking like squid saying, well, you know, we're going to heal you now. You know, they have these tentacles and stuff. But that's a little, you know, but if we can be friends with the Sasquatch and the animal people and the forest people, then we've gone a hurdle. And it's the same thing. So they don't want to scare us, just like the Sasquatch don't want to scare us. The whole thing is we got to want, like you said, we got to invite them. So across the nation, people are wanting Sasquatch. And then there's another whole bunch of people who are wanting contact with ETs, the CE5 people. There's thousands and thousands of groups out there who are night light and flashlights and, you know, come on down.
Oh, they blink at us.
They blink at us.
We went to Mount Shasta and asked them to blink at us, and they did.
That's exactly what's going on.
I can
So,
blink. Yeah.
The Sasquatch people and the ET people are on the same page. They're on the same page.
And
doing the
I'm
same
not
thing.
sure, when we were up in Mount Shasta hiking up about 7,000 feet, another person and I both thought we heard something, and we thought we might have heard something, and we knew we were being watched, but we might have heard something too. But
What did
didn't
you
get
hear?
total confirmation on that. But if they're going to be anywhere, they'll be on Mount Shasta.
What did you hear?
It was just like it was like a noise, but it was like a growl, but it was an animal noise. Like it was a growl, but not a growl. It was a hoot. I don't know. It was interesting. It was like just heard it for 1 second.
That sounds like
Just kind of-
Sasquatch to me.
Just kind of a
What way you
growly
describe
hooch, and there were no dogs around us, and one of the guys who was with us said, "Oh, that was just some kids." And I'm thinking, well, there wasn't any kids. I have kids. I know what kids sound like. But yeah.
Yeah, I think they want to introduce us. I mean, the ETs and the Sasquatch, they're trying to introduce us to the galactic family. They're trying to bring us up mature, spiritually more mature, so that we can.
Once we get a good handle on we are one, we are one with the trees and one with the.
Hey, yeah. Well, we can't even get that on the human being. We fight over something that's less than 1% of our DNA. We figure those people aren't the same as we are, because like a fraction of their DNA is different than ours. That's silly.
I mean,
Anyways.
if we can reside on that frequency that the Sasquatch are on, then we are ready to actually evolve and to join.
Yeah,
them.
and then once we're okay with all that, once we're okay with the monsters in the woods, then the ETs will be ready to, they're gonna have these really neat body healing things. It's like a tanning bed. It goes in there for 15 to 20 minutes, and you're okay for like 3 or 4 months, and you're rejuvenated and stuff like that. That stuff's already in the tubes. It's already coming down the pike.
Okay, I got to figure out what
Awesome.
I'm going to do here. We've got Rhonda
So you're gonna.
Teresa on.
Yeah.
So
So I'll mute and go off
No.
camera.
I wanted
and you
to
can bring her
just
on.
stick on. I wanted to say hi to you, and then we'll and then you guys can hang around, and then we'll introduce our guests. How's that sound?
Okay.
I mean, I don't want this to be professional or anything. I don't want to ruin the reputation of the show.
Oh, let me ask you, what are we on speaker view, or are we on the gallery view? We're on gallery view
Yeah,
now,
we're all
right?
in gallery right now.
Yeah, because you want to see everybody.
Hello, Teresa.
Oh, there's Teresa.
Hey,
Hello.
What happened to our guest?
Teresa, have you met Rhonda Elliott?
Rhonda, I have heard so much about you. You are a huge.
Oh no, I'm your huge.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Teresa Warren's. Like, honest to God, she's got 3,033 followers right now, and growing every day.
friends,
So
not
yeah.
followers.
What? Wow. We're
Yeah.
following you.
Teresa accused me of being a sinted bastard. I mean, is that what it was? A sinted bastard, right?
I had some guy following me the other day, but he was kind of creepy.
Oh,
Yeah, that happens.
I haven't been driving that long outside, so I haven't gone anywhere. So I'm just home. My dog follows me everywhere.
So we're going to introduce our guest today, but did you have anything to say? Well, actually, just you guys hang around and just...
I can hang around for a few more minutes, Brian, then I have to go back to work. My
Listen,
boss is a task.
we gotta get to
Love
Robin McCRAY. She has cats she has
Yes.
to take
Yeah,
care of.
I know.
and
Well,
horses
introduce
and
her.
things.
You know Rhonda better,
Robin.
see, I don't even know her name, so how am I going to introduce her? You introduce her and I'll bring her on.
You keep blabbing and you say you
Well, Lachlan,
you be
thank
the
you.
host,
So
and
nice
then you
to
keep
see you all,
blabbing
and
and
thank you.
inviting all these other people here. And I'm saying, wait a minute, wait. I feel powerless and empty and inadequate here in this moment.
Well, that's your normal state of being, empty and inadequate. We've got to fill you up with something, some love or something. You're an
Well,
empty
thanks, Frank
Look.
and Pork, for the invite.
Robin
and watch us
McCRAY
on
is going to
Spirit
give us the
Sessions.
best
on
show
Sunday
ever
afternoon.
in the history of Pork and Beans.
Yeah. Spirit Sessions. Did you want to put a plug in on that?
Yeah, Spirit Sessions, 12 p.m. Eastern on Spirit Sessions of View of the Light. on our Facebook page and live also on our YouTube channel. Just look us
On
up. We have
Subscribe.
Rise of the Warrior this week.
Yeah.
We have a warrior coming on, talking about all sorts of wonderful things. So
Yeah.
Rhonda Elliott.
Rhonda
Look her
Elliott,
up.
good friend of mine, and
Take-
yeah. Thanks, Rhonda.
guys,
Bye.
talk to you later.
Yeah.
Bye
Thanks
bye.
for stopping in. Thanks for your questions.
Love you.
Thank you. Thanks for the answer.
Well, yeah, that's hit and miss sometimes, but okay. Okay, so we're going to bring, so introduce Teresa. Let's get her going. You
Robin.
can hang around there. You can hang
Introducing
around.
Robin.
Oh, God.
Robin McCRAY, a very patient soul, someone with much to teach us and to share with us that we need to know at this time.
Hey, you see, she's doing your job, Mr. Beans. I'm just going to bring her on. That sounds like the
I feel
perfect- I don't
inadequate.
think you can do better than that. I'm just going to bring her
I
on.
feel inadequate, and I feel bullied.
Well, I'm
Are you
going to.
bullying me? Don't bully Robin. She's pretty tough.
Is
I
she?
wouldn't try it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I got to hear about that.
She's a Sasquatch healer. How about that? How many people have you ever heard of anybody who's a Sasquatch healer? When the Sasquatch have issues, they come and look at her, look for her, and she helps them out.
Oh, there she is.
Hey guys,
Hey,
you're hysterical. Oh my God, I love it.
I told
If
you,
you-
we don't know what
if-
we're doing.
No, but that's the best thing, because like if you can't laugh, what is the reason to wake up? I mean, really.
Well, we figured we're going to have a really crappy show with no organization and whatever, and that way.
My kind of show. My life is like that.
That way, I mean, there's no expectation. We can't go wrong. If we happen to stumble across something profound, well, if I happen to stumble across something profound, I should say, you know,
Hi,
it all
Teresa.
works.
Nice to see
Hey,
you.
Robin, I am honored to meet you and enjoy your energy.
Oh my gosh, thank you. That's so kind.
You can hang
I
around.
appreciate that.
Hang around, Teresa. You can hang around and
You
Yeah,
want me?
hate
You want
that.
me to be the moderator, and you keep talking.
that's what I do. Okay.
If you keep talking, then how? Go ahead. What are you going to say?
Well, Teresa already introduced Robin, right? I don't think we could do it any better than that. So hi,
She
Robin.
was awesome. Like, I'm humbled by that. That was really sweet.
Okay, so
Do it again. I wasn't listening.
I think we need to let Beans toot a little bit.
Robin, tell us
Yeah.
about your beginnings with your journey with Sasquatch or supernatural or spiritual thing. How did it all start for you?
The earliest I could remember, I was like 2. My mom said that when I was 2 years old, I would start to talk. 2-year-olds are starting to learn how to speak. And I always would point to I always thought I had this friend that was big, tall, and hairy. And she said by the time I was 2, I would look in different directions and I would literally physically talk to whatever this was. And she could never figure it out. By the time I was 4, I was telling her about all my big, tall, hairy friends. I don't ever remember not mind speaking with them. I don't know a time I didn't see them, but that was common for me. And I saw everything. It wasn't just them. I saw the dogmen, the ETs. My first abduction, I was 4. Ghosts, spirits, you name it. It's like we have lizard man here in South Carolina. I've got a picture of one in my backyard. If it's out there and it'll talk to me, or it shows up at some point in time. So it's just, this is my normal. Like, my normal is totally unnormal.
Right on.
Yeah, paranormal is my normal. So
I've never reached the normal state, but
I don't ever want to. I like the
It's
abnormal.
overrated.
I'm never going to be normal. I knew from the time I was little, I was not normal. I was never going to be normal. And I was happy about it. Normal sucks.
Normal's pretty boring. Yeah.
I would never want to be in that normal world.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Mundane.
That's Mr.
I'm grateful, humbled, and honored for the craziness that ensues my life.
Right. So to me, if they're connecting with you at 2, then you obviously had past life connection with them or some kind of connection with them.
Yeah.
Prior. Yeah.
According
Did your parents support You were
They
what did you
didn't-
say? Or a boogie
They were
in the
actually
closet.
pretty good. I mean, back then, I was 4 years old and going in the woods and telling my mom and dad about stick structures. Okay, when I was 4, they didn't have books about Bigfoot. They didn't have books out on the structures, and I certainly didn't have access to them. So, as my mom very eloquently put it, and this was about 4 or 5 years ago, she said, I'm not going to tell you it's not true, even though I've not had that experience, because you don't lie. I've never known you to lie. I've never known you to bullshit people. So if that's what you say is going on, she said, I'm going to listen to you. I never had them put me down for it or tell me I was crazy or anything. When I remember being little and talking to them about Bigfoot, and they're like, how would you know anything about them? You know, those aren't real. And I'm like, no, yeah, they really are. And then, but they never put me down. They never made me feel bad about it.
But they didn't think they were real.
No, because back you're talking about the late 60s. Back then they weren't even talking about the Patty film yet.
Right.
You know, and they just thought, although they didn't say it to me, they just thought it was a child's imagination. And I was one that my entire life, if there was an animal within 100 miles, it was going to find me. Everything would flock to me. So they just figured it was just one more thing. And when I talked to them about the Dogman or the Bigfoot or the ETs, they were like, but honey, you know, nobody sees those things. Those aren't around. I'm like, they're all over. Yes, they are around.
I just want to make one really strong, well, hopefully a good point, that, you know, that I've been taught it with, or just, you know, it's common sense to me, is that I think that's really doing your kids a disservice when you tell them that these things don't exist or whatever, because then they, you know, because they're open to all that stuff.
Yeah.
Magic.
Well,
And
my mom and dad, in the beginning, they said, you know, those things don't exist because there wasn't anything about them out there. And then as I started getting older, they never told me that again. They said if I saw it, then I had to be seeing something. They did say, we don't have that experience. We don't understand it. But if you tell us this is what's going on, we're not going to tell you, you know, that you're making it up. They never once said to me, ever, you're making this up, you're wrong, you're lying, or what. They never did that. I was very fortunate.
Okay.
I mean, you know, they were supportive in a way because they never put it down.
Oh, okay. Well, that's,
you know,
that's good. That's how it should be.
And I think they were just kind of in an awe, you know, and I would see spirits. And of course, I was fortunate. My mother was one that could always talk to ghosts and spirits. She had her whole life. So on that plane, she understood.
Mhm.
So I think when it crossed over to the other, she just, like she said, I don't understand it. I don't experience it. And I don't know anything about it, but I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. You know, of course, she spent the night at my house and had them pounding on the walls and seen things move and everything else. So, but when I was a kid, they were not nasty to me at all about it. They, you know, they admitted they didn't know anything about it. They didn't understand it. They never told me I was wrong.
Well, that's good. Yeah, because I think that's a huge mistake, you know, because
it is. And like all my children grew up with them around them. Yeah. They had no option because, you know, I was raising my kids and they follow me everywhere. And they still, to this day, certain children of mine that have more abilities than the other, because they've all got abilities, you know, they're closer to and they try to communicate with. And so, and it's now handed down to my grandkids. I had my grandkids here this last week for a great deal of time, and especially the one granddaughter. You know, I mean, she picks up on things in lightning speed. So does my grandson. You know, the littler one, she's only 7. So she will see something out of the corner of her eye and she'll say, Grandma, what was that? You know, but we've never been one in our family, even if we don't understand what somebody else is going on with them, we don't put it down, we don't contradict it, and we don't say it's not going on. It may not be our experience, but it is theirs, and you validate that always.
So when this was happening in the early 60s for you?
Yeah, I was born in 64.
Okay, so when the Patterson film came out, did you see it like pretty right away, or pretty much?
No. Mm-mm.
But when you did see it, did it collect like, oh, that's?
It didn't surprise me. You know, where most people were like, oh my gosh, look at that, look at that. I was like, yeah, okay, that's what they look like. Because you have to remember, when I was little, we lived, when I was 3, well, I want to say 4. I'm going to go between 3 and 4. we lived right, our subdivision was right next to the huge, massive woods. And back then it was safe for your kids to go out. And I've told Mike this before, or Beans, and you could go out and not worry about your children being snatched. And I would ride my little bike to the corner, and they had all these dirt mounds, and I would go on the dirt mounds with my bike. And there would be 3 or 4 of the Sasquatch people that would come in that tree line, and they would mind speak. And I would see them as they were walking in through the woods in and out. It wasn't frightening to me. It wasn't abnormal to me. That was my normal. So I was just like, okay, I feel safe. They're here. You know? So, and then I would go home, and I knew they could go into spirit form. I knew they could cloak. I knew they could shimmer because I would see them. They were always there. And as I grew up, everywhere I've gone, they just show up.
Right.
So it wasn't weird to me because I just have always felt them there. I've always been able to read their energy. I've also been able to read everybody else's energy. It wasn't anything I learned to do. It was just who I was.
They actually they enhanced that ability in me, the work with energy. I can tell their person. I can tell who is connecting with me through their energy.
Absolutely. And the people.
And I can read people's energy too, but they enhance that with me. So that's good confirmation and collaboration.
It is. And I always tell everybody that will come to me and they'll say, will you help me learn how to mind speak? Because everybody can mind speak. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Trust me. But it's a matter of you don't know what to look for. You don't know you're doing it and you don't know you're doing it. And so I'll go and I'll explain it. Which is, there you go.
I like raspberry.
The first thing I tell everybody is,
You're deaf.
okay, you're going to mind speak, but I need to teach you to read energy because reading energy is going to be your best friend. Because anything can lie to you, anything can manipulate you and make you believe it's something that it's not. Energy does not lie.
You're saying exactly what I've been taught and what I'm saying too. Yeah, I've always said energy is a universal language.
Absolutely.
People can lie with words and whatever, and whatever. But energy, when you understand it, cannot lie. I love that.
And I'll get stuff that will come to talk to me, and I'll be like, "You're full of crap," because I know darn well that's not what you are. Or it'll come to me and we'll say it's a certain foot that I'm very close to, and it'll say something, and I'm like hell no, goodbye. You're now dead to me because you've lied to me. I want nothing more to do with you, and you're either going to get out of here. I'm going to zap your ass out. One or the other.
I think everybody, if they think about it, kind of has that because, we meet people all the time and there's just some people you don't like for some reason. There's something about them.
And you're picking up their energy.
Yeah. And, so we all are capable of it. So it's just a matter of developing it and recognizing it.
I don't believe for a second that not everybody can mind speak. And I don't believe that not everybody can read energy. We have been dumbed down by the powers that be to believe that these things don't exist, that we can't mind speak, that we can't read energy, and it's a way to keep us controlled. I choose not to believe it. I know for a fact you can read energy. I know for a fact you can mind speak, and I don't care what the powers that be say. But that being said, I think everybody can. I think we always have been able to.
Yeah, I just ignore the powers that be because I don't give them any of my energy or whatever at all.
Never. Nope.
Yeah. Because if you're concentrating on that and all the negativity or whatever, it just lowers your vibration. It keeps you there. So you just got to kind of, so it's.
Well, that's what's so great about laughter because that raises that vibration.
Right. That's why the Sasquatch love come around when there's kids laughing and playing.
Exactly.
And high energy.
I'll work with people on how to use that energy that's inside of them. Like if you're down, if you're depressed or whatever, all you're doing is creating a buffet for these things to come in and eat off of. The negative energies, the dark energies. And I'll help people realize that you can take the energy and the light within your body, push it out, and it literally shoves that stuff off of you. And people will be like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. I don't feel as depressed. I don't feel as, as down or whatever. And it does help. But whenever you bring that negative energy in with depression or whatever, not that we all get depressed at times, don't get me wrong, but you can use that energy and that light and that vibration in you to push it out and off of you. And it feels like you're just a whole lot lighter.
Yeah, I remember one time I did a practical, because they're always teaching me. I've only had a connection with,
Always.
I've always been fascinated with them, but I've only actually got my calling to go to the woods in 2012. So they've only
Okay.
they've only been working with me for what, 9-10 years? Well, whatever. My math is
years.
not great. But anyway, for that.
I'm going to give a shout out to John Dixon. Hey, how's it going? And Rachel
Hey.
Baguette. Just say hello to her.
Well, then
And-
talk up. You're whispering. How are you going to shout out to them?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching the show.
There you go. What was I going to say? Now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I had a practical.
I can talk to Robin because she's got some fantastic stories. If you
No, but I wanted to say that I had when we're going to
listen more.
I wanted to say that they gave me a real practical example of that because, no judgment, right? No
Yeah.
judgment. When you're judging people, your energy lowers.
Oh, absolutely.
And one day I was, and I know that, but you have to kind of, it's a process, because we're conditioned to judge and boxes and all
I
that
know,
stuff.
it's
all that.
terrible.
So I'm going down the street and I was hating on not hating, but thinking about negative about some fellow, right?
Yeah.
But just before that, I was in my really high vibration, and the high vibration energy and no judgment, like everything, the connection, all that. But I started going in this other place of judgment and my vibration lowered right away. But as soon as I said, I'm turning that dialogue off, I said, enough of that dialogue. I switched it off and my vibration went right up again.
Yeah.
So it's so obvious. But anyway, enough of me. Let's hear more about your early days or whatever. So you met them at 2 or so.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
before that, but that's your earliest.
Yeah.
career.
According to them, I have been around them for thousands of years in each lifetime.
Yeah,
So-
I think I have too.
I do, absolutely. Like I've run across different people and it's been like, okay, I remember you from a different lifetime. My husband and I have the same memory of each other in a different lifetime.
Oh, tell us that. We got to hear that.
Well, it was just a matter of, and this is before we were together. I actually met him because someone contacted me and said, listen, I know this really sweet guy. His name is Pat McCRAY, and he's got all kinds of activity, but he doesn't understand what's going on. You know,
He's
and
a man. We don't understand anything.
the load is heavy.
That's
I'm
her
telling you.
husband. He's an amazing guy too. I mean.
Oh, he's fantastic. He's one of the best mind speakers, communicators I've ever worked with. But anyway,
unbelievable
so
stuff that he's had.
yeah, he's fantastic. And so that's how I met him. And he didn't need me to do anything for him. He had it all going on to begin with. He just needed basic, I think, not explanation, even just somebody that got it. Somebody that was on that level that said, oh yeah, I don't think you're crazy. I know. That is what you saw. But what it is actually da 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 da. So he didn't really need me as much as just to validate things.
Mhm.
And so that's how I had met him, because they put these people in your path. But then we got talking, and we had been friends for like 2 years before we even actually saw each other. And by then we were already in love with each other, but we hadn't said it yet. We were just staying as friends. And the first time I saw him in person, I told him, I said, I just have this memory of you. He said, I have one of you. You're wearing a dress with blue flowers on it. I said, yeah, and we're standing in a meadow. He says, I remember that. And we're telling each other bits and pieces about when we were together. It was cute. It was just kind of like one of those John and Marcia commercials, you know? But yeah, and that's happened a lot. And I have friends that it's the same thing. I have one very, very dear friend in Alaska. I know for a fact we were twins in another life. I have another friend in Montana. He was my, he's older than I am now, but he was my younger brother. He was the brother that you always have to pick on to keep him in line. But I remember these things, and these people remember them as well. And it's just like, we're just constantly recycled.
Yeah. Everything you're saying makes perfect sense to my experiences too, like how they connect people.
Oh yeah.
It's just so amazing that it's just.
And they put you where they want you. They literally do. I mean, you can want to be somewhere and you can want to be there forever, and it's not going to make a darn bit of difference, because if that's not where they want you, you're not going.
Yeah.
So you have to just kind of suck it up, know that there's a reason for everything, and just land where they put you.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're triggering so many collaborative things in me or whatever. Like, yeah, they connect people. Like, for instance, I've had a feeling I've got to go to the woods. I go there, I meet somebody, I start talking to them. Then all of a sudden I say, oh, you open the Sasquatch or whatever. And then the guy says, I just heard something stomping around in the bush
Yeah.
just
But-
before you came here. And then, you know, that kind of stuff, because that's how they connect people, you know?
They do.
And there's
They
a lot more to it than
absolutely
that, but
do.
I don't want to get into it. You know, you're the guest. But anyway, I wanted to say, Teresa, you're in the show now, so if you want to make a comment or a question, just go for it.
Okay. Okay.
And
real
anybody
quick.
else wants to join us, join us.
I love your backdrop.
Yeah. So just
My
kind
dragon.
of interject when you want to.
My higher self is a dragon, Robin, named Mayella. But I wanted to tell you something, Robin, about Brian. I read his past lives before because that's what I do. I'm an Akashic Records reader. And
Oh, great. You got to do
he-
mine.
he in the distant past, he too was a great healer among the Sasquatch nations that are like out there, you know, in the stars and beyond. And he comes from there, and he was so called for to go to places that at one point they finally chose him, that he was going to come to the earth at this time. Not he's had a lot of other lives, but this would be the lifetime where he would reawaken to all of his Sasquatchic
Well,
memories.
Teresa, after the show, you and I got to get together because I want you to do mine.
Oh, fun. Right on.
You got a show?
And Michael was he's an ascended master on earth, but he's the kind that's here to stir things up, to make people
He
think.
does. He does it well.
No. He's an absconded master.
Well, that's what it took to get here.
I didn't know that was.
Nobody would say that to your face, Michael.
Do you have a show?
He did.
Do you have a show, Robin?
Huh?
You have a show?
No,
Oh.
I don't. I
Misunderstood you. Okay.
no. I do have I do a couple podcasts with Dr. John Stamey, but other than that, no.
Oh, okay.
Let's put our go to guest speaker. That way is when somebody gets talking a little bit, then you can see them in full screen and then they feel important.
Yeah, but I don't want. But we don't want anyone to feel important. Our objective is
But then
to
when you
make
talk,
us look
you'll
good and
cover the
everybody
whole
else look bad.
screen, and you'll be important. That's the whole point.
I'm trying to fill you up by making everybody else look bad, and I'm trying to help you, Mr. Beans. You're an empty vessel.
Saying,
You're an empty vessel.
speaker view.
Don't get me
speaker
started
view,
on the empty
and back and
vessel,
forth.
okay?
Speaker view, the back and forth.
You don't even want to go on the empty vessel. I already had my empty vessel thing with the Bigfoots, and now I have a chocolate lab because of it. So
You see what I'm saying?
Wait a minute. What was okay, I got to hear this.
okay, so about a year ago, and I know how crazy it sounds. My life is crazy. I just go with it. About a year ago, the Bigfoot started talking about how I needed to find this puppy. This puppy was in bad shape, that it was going to die, and that one of their ancient ones was trapped inside this puppy. And this puppy, I needed to release the ancient one, and then this puppy was a vessel that could be taken over by good or by bad. I had to fill it with positive energy so that the bad couldn't take over this puppy. And they gave me an image in my mind. It looked like a chocolate lab puppy. So myself and my friend drove all over the state because she got the message to give to me as well. So I go ahead and I drive all over the state of South Carolina for 3 weeks. I went to every animal shelter, pound, you name it. If there was a place to look for this puppy, I did. Saw thousands of dogs, never found the puppy. And finally, Pat was talking to him one night, and they said, listen, you guys got to give a little more guidance than to go find it. Like, I'm trying, and I kept going back to the SPCA where I live at, and it wasn't there, but yet I kept feeling the energy that it was there. And they said, oh, no, it's got woods all around it. Okay, well, what else does it have? it's got these tubes. There's these tubes, but there's water by the tubes. And I'm like, the water part. That's the SPCA. It's right there. So I went back over there one final time because I was exhausted by this point. And I said to the girl, I need to see all your puppies. And she shows me there's nothing there. I go back to the car and I'm like, wait a minute. I go back in, and I've never met this woman in my life. And I said, by any chance, do you have chocolate lab puppies in the back room? And she looked at me like, oh my God, what are you talking about? She's like, how did you know that? We haven't let anybody know they're here. I said, I need to see those puppies. It's really important. And she's like, well, why is it so important? Well, I can't say because Bigfoot told me to, okay? Most people do not react well to that. I'm just telling you. And I'm like, you know, call it a premonition. I keep having a dream of a chocolate lab puppy, and I want one so desperately. I'm just going to be heartbroken if I can't. Gave her all the crap. So she's like, and she started to say no. And she got this very distant look on her face, which is the point that I think the Bigfoots came in and said, you need some backup here. And she said, I'm going to take you back there and I'm going to show you all the chocolate lab puppies. She said, we're not allowed to do that, but I feel like I have to do this. And I'm like, okay. So she takes me back there, and there's 15 chocolate lab puppies back there that are like 4 weeks old without their mom. I could find exactly which one it was. It wasn't about looking at all of them. I walked in there, I zeroed in, knew that was her. So I'm picking her up and I'm asking them, is this the one you're talking about? I said, yes, get her home, she's sick. And I said, well, is she sick? And they're like, oh no, she's fine. I think she's fine. We haven't had any problems. And I'm like, I need to take this puppy home today. Oh no, she won't be ready for another 6 weeks. And the foots are blowing up my mind. They're like, no, you have to get her home today because she will die if you don't. The ancient one will die with her. You've got to save her. You've got to save the ancient one.
You didn't tell them that.
Yeah. And I can't tell that to the shelter. So I said, all right. So I walked out, and the lady that's in charge that has got the now spacey look on her face because the foots are playing with her. And I said to her, I said, is there any way? I said, how much is the puppy? And they're like $150. I'm like, okay. Now, can I get her today? And she's like, oh, honey, we can't for 6 weeks. And I said, listen, I need this puppy today. I know it's crazy, but I can't tell you how desperately I want this puppy. She said, I'm going to call the people in charge. She said, I used to run this place. She said, but I retired, and now I just come in once a week. I'm going to call them. And she said, I'm going to tell them that I know you. And she looks at me with this crazy look on her face. She was the dearest thing ever. And she said, I know your heart. And I know your soul, and you need to have this puppy today. She said, it can't be later. It has to be today. And I'm thinking, thanks, big guys, because somebody's pulling some strings, because this
You're
isn't
big
me.
guys.
Yeah. But she's like, and I know you. She says, I know your heart. And I'd never seen this woman in my life, ever. And so she said, you go home and get ready for this puppy. I'm going to call you in an hour. I said, okay. She called me back. She said, come up and get the puppy. So I go up and I get the puppy. I bring the puppy home. The puppy's vomiting blood. It's pooping blood. It's lethargic. Its gums are gray. It's sick as can be. I worked on that puppy, pushing energy and trying to heal this puppy for 3 days. And Pat kept saying to me, all right, what are you going to do? He said, and she was so sick, if I would have tried to do anything to pull the ancient one out, she would have died. But if she dies, then I lose them both. And Pat and I every day are having the same conversations. What do we do? Do we save the puppy? Do we save the ancient one? And I'm like, I'm supposed to save both. And they've never given me a job that I can't do. Never. They have sent me all over the US. I've been out to Russia. You name it, where they send me, I never know what I have to do till I'm there. But whatever they tell me to do, for whatever reason, it works. And that's coming from them more than I think it's me. And I'm like, this will work. We have to just hold out. So finally, the last night, she was bad. She was barely breathing. And I'm calling a friend of mine that's a vet. I'm calling her 90 miles an hour. And she's telling me, well, you've done everything. And I slept on the floor in the bathroom with her. And I thought, this is bad enough now where I have to make a choice. Like, I have to get this ancient one out, or I'm going to lose that one on top of the puppy. So I did what they told me to do. I released the ancient one. So they were all happy. And Pat was laying in bed, and he comes in. He says, you must have released it because they are just ecstatic. And he says, I'm supposed to tell you, save the puppy. I said, I already got that message. I'm trying. So I worked on her all night long because she was an empty vessel. I have to save her because she's an empty vessel. And I have to fill her full of good energy, because if not, something bad will take her and she can be dangerous. And the next morning she gets up and she's bouncing around like she is the healthiest thing on the planet, and just a wild child. I named her Monkey because she climbed into my bathroom sink. Like, she scaled my cupboard or my cabinet. So I spent 3 days pushing good energy into her. I have never seen a dog like this in my life. She's a little over a year old now. She's huge. She's gorgeous. She's beautiful. This dog has never growled once in her life. She doesn't know how to. It doesn't matter what you do to her. She is happiness at its prime. It is unbelievable. There's not one person that has ever encountered this dog that does not fall madly in love with her.
Well, let's see her. Can you call her? Can we see Monkey?
I'm upstairs. She's downstairs. Otherwise, I would. But no, I mean, if I go down there, you're going to hear 14 dogs barking.
Oh, 14 dogs.
How cool.
I have a rescue.
Oh, okay.
Right on.
Okay.
So,
Can you
yeah.
help out Mr. Beans there? He needs to be rescued.
Yeah. Come on over. This is where all things land.
Fill his empty vessel up with good energy.
But you know what? There's something to that because I've had dogs my whole life. I've bred dogs. I've showed dogs. I've had too many dogs. But I've never seen anything like this. She has never growled. I don't even know if she's capable of it. It doesn't matter what goes on. She's nice. I mean, she is high on life 24 hours a day.
Wow. Yeah, I like, there's very few people that I like as much as dogs.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Very few. Dogs are my favorite. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, Robin,
So yeah, that's my
could you-
empty vessel story.
Robin, could you give the audience just an overview of like what an average week or an average month is in terms of your reaction, your interaction with Sasquatch? Because back when I first heard about you for some podcast, I'm saying, oh my God, this lady has stuff going on day and night, week after week.
Oh my God.
Some of it is so wild, some of it is so crazy,
I know, and there's
and always fun.
Yeah, it is. But there's times because, as you know, Pat and I work on this together. I have a very good friend in Texas, and we're kind of like this, little three-way team. And so I verify the hell out of everything. I never go by just my own thoughts because you have to verify it because some of the stuff that they have me do gets a little sketchy. And especially with the healing, if I make a mistake, it's a big problem. So I verify it every different which way. So I'll get like 2 or 3 people to talk to them as well as myself so that when it gets verified, I know that not only is the job done, but it's done correctly and everybody's happy. I've lost you guys. Everybody's gone.
Really?
There you go. Now you're back. So
That's unfortunate. Sorry about that.
you scared me. So no, it's basically craziness here. In fact, we just had, they had that one hurricane that came into South Carolina, and my friend lives down at Myrtle Beach. I'm in the Midlands, so I've got a little bit of a buffer. And so I told him, I said, get on up here. And we always have crazy stuff going on when he's here anyway. So he came up and he was sitting in the living room. He was there, I was there, my granddaughter was there, and he had this 12-pack can of ginger ale, and he had a blanket. And he had it sitting down right next to my couch. And I had a small dog crate there for it's an older dog that I have that's one of the rescues. And he gets in trouble at night. So at nighttime, he goes in his little bed. And he had it sitting there. And it literally, you could feel the energy of something walking through the living room. And it literally, all of a sudden, this 12 case of soda goes flying into the wall. And my granddaughter's there, and she's like, and you never felt anything bad. I think he just like bumped it. It wasn't done like it was a violent act or whatever. But we get the kids. I mean, the Bigfoot kids come in here all the time. And like anybody that's really heavy into them knows they can be in flesh and blood, or they can go multidimensional, or they can go into spirit form. It is very disconcerting to be laying in bed in inappropriate moments, look over someone's shoulder and see a Bigfoot walk through your wall, walk across the end of the room, and go into the next room. But I mean, we do it. It goes crazy. It's all night long. It's all day long. Yesterday, this is the other crazy, bizarre thing. I was in the kitchen. I was rearranging my kitchen counters, and I wiped all the counters down, scrubbed it all down and everything, moved everything where I wanted it. So I knew what was on my kitchen counter. I go to bed, I get up, I walk into the kitchen, and there's this salt shaker sitting on my counter, which would be fine, except it's not my salt shaker. I've never had one like that. I've never seen one like this. And it looked like it was about 30 years old and very weathered and very rough. It was like a plastic salt shaker, or pepper shaker, not salt, but pepper shaker. And I'm like, What the hell? Nobody in the house has any clue where it came from. It just showed up.
Yeah.
But,
Wow.
you know, I get muddy handprints on my refrigerator. I have muddy footprints on my floor. The bonus room I'm sitting in right now, we get a lot of the Bigfoot kids come up here, and my grandkids have got toy boxes. And I do have a child that's a ghost that's here as well, but they will play with these forever. Every time I come up here, the toys are moved. Something's moved. I have muddy footprints. I have, you know, handprints. In fact, Mike saw one of the handprints that was on a pillow that was sitting next to our bed. I was home by myself all day. Nobody was here. I washed all the bedding in the bedroom, washed all the pillows, and it was a decorative pillow, but it had a black back to it. And I took everything, made the bed up, ran the vacuum. Everything was fine. Sat the pillow next to the bed on a chair, but the black backing was facing out. And I walked in the other room, and I was doing a few things, and I went to go walk back in the bedroom, and there's like, it looked like flour or powdered sugar on the floor outside the bedroom. And I'm like, okay, I didn't do this. I don't even know what it is, but there were fingerprints in it. So I go and I said, okay, guys, I don't know who's playing with stuff, but, you know, clean up after yourselves. I have enough to clean up with. Like, it doesn't faze me anymore. I go to get a broom and a dustpan. I walk back, and most of it's gone. And you see where they ran their hands through it trying to clean up what they had done. So I clean up the rest of it, and I go on about my day. Never went back in the bedroom. Pat comes home from work. He walks in the bedroom very calmly, like nothing phases us anymore. He comes out. He says, hey, what's with the giant handprint on the pillow? I said, what are you talking about? Yeah, you know that giant handprint? I go in there, and there's a perfect handprint on this black pillow made from whatever this white substance is. It's like, okay, you know, but it is, it's morning, noon, and night. They are really helpful. I mean, we have been fortunate. I've done so much energy work on my property, and energy bubbles for protection and everything else. With the energy bubbles, and I'm sure you guys know this, nothing bad can penetrate it. It's like running into an electric fence. The good stuff can walk in and out and not have a problem. And my friend from Alaska, she came here. It was the first time she'd ever been here, and I hadn't told her I'd done that. She pulled in the driveway, and the first thing she said when she got out of the car is she said, what kind of energy wall is around this place? She said, I felt it coming in the driveway. And she said, my God, it feels so peaceful here. And I'm like, well, it better, because I work my butt off to make sure it stays that way. But Pat and I were laying in bed one day, and our bedroom, I have a 2-story house, but our bedroom doesn't have a floor above it. The 2 stories in the main section of the house, and ours is a bedroom suite on the bottom, but it sticks out. And it felt like somebody shook the entire room. I mean, it was absolutely crazy. And Pat looked at me, and I looked at him, and I'm like, you know, did we have an earthquake? So we're checking online. We're laying in bed. We're checking online, and there's been no sign of an earthquake anywhere here. And he's like, I don't know. So we're laying there, and we're watching a movie, just relaxing. It does it again. And then the pounding on the wall start. And I said, okay, we got to find out. Somebody's either hurt, dead, or there's something major going on, because obviously they want our attention. And so I asked him, I said, what's going on? And they said, get out, get out, get out, get out. And I'm like, what? So we walk outside, and I'm thinking, well, maybe, you know, there's a downed tree somewhere. And I'm looking around, and Pat says, found it. I go out in the front yard, and a limb off one of our big trees in the front yard came down on a power line, and it is sending sparks everywhere, setting the ground on fire.
Wow.
And there's like 6 or 7 piles of where the ground, because there was leaves on the ground, of flames coming from these little piles that the sparks are coming down on. And then as you watch it, it was so awesome, because as you watch it, you see clouded figures go up to where the flames are coming up, and it starts to swirl around the flames, and it puts the flames out on each pile.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, thanks guys for letting me know, you know, because it could have burned the whole place down.
Your husband, Pat, I've talked to him a few times. I remember he said he felt a real strong connection with me the first time we talked.
He does. He really does.
Yeah.
He absolutely does. He was so funny because, you know, I've been on Facebook for a long time before I met him.
Oh,
I met him in 2015.
That he did?
Oh, absolutely.
What did he say?
Absolutely. And he said to me, he said, do you know Brian Bland? And I said, yeah. Well, how well do you know him? And I said, well, I've talked to him on and off on Facebook. Like, you know, I haven't like picked up the phone and called him. But yeah, you know, I've known him for quite some time. And he's like, I really like this guy. He said, I don't know why I'm drawn to him. Like I was drawn to him before I even talked to him. And he said, I don't know why, but I feel like I'm supposed to talk to him. You know, and he's always said such good things about you.
I think that maybe we should talk a little more or whatever, because we kind of didn't talk after that. Oh, I'm feeling energy right now. It's funny, you know, when you hit on, oh boy, when you hit on points, you know, when they really want you to get a point or whatever with me, they send me that energy. Like,
they do.
This is important. Listen.
It is.
Yes,
And
whatever. And they're giving me.
I have found in my life, if I don't listen to it, disaster strikes every time.
Well, maybe
so it's like
maybe not disaster.
I try to be a good puppet, you know.
You see what I'm dealing with here? This Mr. Beans, he's in and out, and he can't. You got to be committed to the show, my friend.
Old.
What?
I have necessities of an old man.
What are you saying? You went to the washroom?
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry for the barking dogs, you guys. I think somebody came to my door.
And I didn't really want to, you know, announce that I went for a pee. But since you brought it up and dragging my face through the mud like this.
Thank you for sharing.
That's number 1 or number 2? I forgot. Remember when we were kids? Number 1 and number 2? Which one's which again? Which one's which? I forgot.
The Wiz. The Wizard of Oz.
Anyway, okay, I wanted to ask Robin.
Maybe we get, that's some of the things I asked you is there's one time we should get you and Igor on the show. That'd be fun.
Yeah, next time he's here, I will let you know so we can.
Yeah.
And Pat, get Pat
We'll
on.
have to have a little lead time.
We should do one with
booked
Pat.
up a whole week or
Yeah.
two in advance.
Is Pat home?
No, he's actually at work. He's off Saturday and Sunday this week. It changes every week, but we are definitely going to have to get him on here. He's a riot.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you, this is very interesting. So how do you, just for the information of people who want to try it or whatever, because how do you set up that bubble or whatever, or protection or whatever you were talking about? How do you go about that? What's your...
When I do it, I take energy from my body.
Yeah.
I push it down into the ground, and then I bring it up where I want the wall. It goes down through the ground, up, and then over what I want to bubble. And then I bring it back down in the ground so that it meets. You never let an area not meet or connect with something, because then it leaves an opening for something to get in. And I do that around the entire thing that I'm bubbling. I bubble people as well. I do a lot of bubbling on people. I've had several people that were being attacked from bad entities or ETs or what have you, or even a bad Bigfoot, because they do exist. And they have all come back to me later and just said, oh my God, thank you. It has just really, really helped. And so I do that for a lot of people. You know, it's not something I advertise at all. It's just people find me word of mouth, you know, whatever. And it works, but I take the energy from my body, which is hysterical to me because, like with many of us in the whole Bigfoot realm, prolonged exposure to them because of their energy and what they radiate, our bodies don't tolerate it well. And it causes a lot of health issues for a lot of researchers.
Yep.
But when I'm doing work for them, when I'm doing energy work, I'm like an Energizer bunny. It just comes and it comes and it comes and it comes. And so that's how I bubble things. They come to me a lot to clear their land and push good energy into their land. I can do it remotely. I can do it on site and basically clean up a lot of the crap that's there.
Yeah. Wow. And did you just discover that yourself?
I think it was more them than it was me.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
It just started happening. And I'm like, oh, wow, what did I just do? And because I second guess myself, which they yell at me and tell me to quit doing it, but I do second guess myself. And like I said, I do nothing without having it verified 10 different ways. Because the stuff that they have me do sometimes can be kind of sketchy and dangerous if I don't get it right. So I'm not comfortable unless I have a minimum of 2 people speak with them as well and verify it. I want to know that other people besides myself notice that situations have changed. You know, I don't take a chance with anything because this stuff is so out there 90% of the time, and I don't care who it is. At some point in time, we all question our sanity. We do. We have to. Even though we know it's real, we know it's legit. We're like, really? Did that just happen?
Yeah.
You know?
I know. I mean, excuse me, I can't even talk now. With the glyphs, I was finding so many, and then I just started thinking, am I imagining? And I knew I wasn't, but it just came into my head, you know. And then there, right at my feet, right when I was thinking that, was the most beautiful, obvious glyph, like "Wake up, dummy!" You know the answer.
I have 3 mini pigs, and the one that I have is an escape artist. He gets out of everything. I mean, no matter where you put him, how you do it, give it time, he will find a way. And they used to be in the house, but because I've got so many of the rescue dogs and stuff, and they used to like get up on the bed and sleep at night at the end of the bed, but I got a new bed and it's too high for them. So we have an attached 2.5 car garage. We've turned it into the pig suite, and they've got air conditioners, heaters, toys, litter box, beds, the whole thing. So whenever he gets out, I simply wait, or I find him and I'll tell him to get to the house, and he goes to my garage door. I open the garage door and he trots back in, quite pleased with himself that he managed to escape again. So he gets out one day and I saw that he wasn't back there. So I go back in the woods and I'm calling and he's not coming. And normally he comes right away. And I had been in front of the garage that morning. I just mowed the lawn. There were no glyphs on the ground. There was no, ground structures of any kind. And he didn't come and he didn't come. And I thought, okay, I'm going to have to, wait and see what happens. I'll wait a few minutes. I asked the Foots to please shuffle him back towards the house because they were always hanging out in the back. And so pretty soon I went outside out in the front yard, and here he comes up along the side of the house. And I look on the ground, and they had put a ground structure in front of the garage door. Now, a small X laying flat on the ground is a welcome sign. It doesn't mean I found that out. Huh?
Exactly.
Well, in my opinion, I don't think any of them have a specific meaning. But for me, the X is a friendship welcome too. Yeah. But I think it's telepathic in a range between you and the Sasquatch what it means.
Well, I think that's possible. I also know that they have certain ones that are almost like a universal language across the board, but then each clan will also create their own, and they have different meanings.
Well, I proved it to myself because there was a certain glyph that I was seeing all the time, and for some reason I just never came up with the meaning of it. And then I thought, wait a minute, I'm going to give it a meaning. The very next day they started communicating with me with that glyph combined with other glyphs that I knew the meaning to, in context to the meaning that I came up with. And it was obvious. And they even had glyphs 5 or 6 years ago that I looked at after the fact that, wow, they already knew the meaning that I was going to come up with years before I came up with it. So there definitely is
there's a connection.
Yes. I don't think,
Well, he came trotting up the side of the house, and on the ground, directly where he normally walks then at, was the welcome small X on the ground. Yeah. And they had put a stick next to it, making it an arrow going into the garage. Nice. And I said, you guys, thank you. What did you do? And they said, we wanted to make sure he knew where to go home. So I opened the garage door and he trotted right in, But yeah, they do all kinds of crazy stuff here. I mean, in fact, I told Beans about this. When we moved into this house, the first day we looked at it, we took pictures outside, and we got a picture of a giant face coming out of a portal and a dog man. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. And the day after we moved in, I had the cable company out, and they went to go put the pole in, and the guy's like, oh my gosh, I forgot all the wires that I need to run this. And he got here late. He didn't get here till 4 o'clock. And he said, do you want me to go get it? And I'm like, yeah, that's why you're here. Go get your wires. So he goes to leave, and he comes back, and he took forever. And this was in March. So it gets, darker earlier. And so he was outside working on it. It started getting dark. So I went out and I turned my lights on the car so he would have lights, and I'm in the house, and he comes running in the house. I mean, he was terrified. And I said, what's the matter? And he says, ma'am, there's something out there in the bushes. Now, I knew they were out there, and I had asked them to please not scare away the nice cable man because mommy wanted cable. And he comes running. He's terrified. He's like, please don't make me go back out there. And I said, what's the matter? And he said, there were eyes in the bushes and the bushes were shaking and blah, 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 blah. I said, did anything hurt you? And he said, no. I said, oh, I'm sure it's just a raccoon or whatever, you know. And he's like, no, these eyes were way high up off the ground. And I said, well, if you're that frightened, I don't feel comfortable having you out there. I'm not going to make anybody go through that. He says, I'll come back really early in the morning, I promise. I said, okay. So he leaves. The next morning, another guy shows up at 8:30 in the morning. And I said, well, where's such and such? And he said, we can't get him back out here. He refuses to come. He's absolutely terrified. He said, you had things living in your bushes. And I'm like, okay. So the guy finishes it up. Well, before the cable guy came back out in the morning, Pat went to go to work. He opened the door, and there's this wad of wires. I have no idea where they got it. They were not cable wires, just this massive, the size of like maybe a football thing of wires pushed up against our door. And I said, okay, guys, what is the wires for? And they said, we felt bad. We made the man leave. So we brought you wires. I was like, okay, well, thank you. You know?
It's the thought that counts.
Can I ask both of you girls, and you can each answer it, or what, you know, whatever you want to do. But I've got a kind of a selfish question here, and it's kind of related to everything that's going on. But it's have you heard of a lot of people having brain fog and like dizziness and stuff? I've heard that a lot of people are having that now, and I've had it for like 4 months or so. It's just like I wake up and I'm like, oh, yeah. That's
well, you know,
what are you laughing at, Beans? I know what you're thinking.
Now, see, I get it if I get a lot of them right up close to me at one time, or for a long time, everybody would want to talk to me at one time. And I can disassociate and like zero in on one and just hear him and block everybody else.
Yeah.
But it got to be where it was like, okay, you guys, everybody, I'm not talking to anybody until you back off, you know, one at a time. Like I can hear you and I can do it, but it doesn't need to be this hard, you know.
But what is the brain fog thing? Is it the Schumann resonant, whatever that thing is? Is it the, is it, no, yeah, okay, Beans.
Well, I think you have to realize too, right now that veil is so thin, we've got a lot of stuff coming in.
It's the shucks man resonance.
I mean, no, the reason is because I've heard a lot of different people are saying you're getting your brain rewired. It's
oh, I've heard that. I've heard you're getting downloads. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Well, what is it? Because there's something going on, and a lot of people are experiencing it. And I don't.
Yeah, I think right now, you know, the veil between the dimensions is really thin right now. We're getting a lot of stuff, and I've been talking to a lot of people, and I'm working on a lot of different cases right now, where with good and bad things that are coming in. And I think everything checks us out. And if you are someone that is actively mind speaking, you're on that global hotline. I mean, you really are. Everything wants to check you out. Everything wants to see what's in your brain. And what I've found over the years is that we have memories of things with them and with other entities that are locked in our brains. It's like a file of facts. It is, you need it, you can get to it. But until you need it, it's just there. And you don't necessarily know what all is going on. And I think what happens, what I tell everybody, it's like somebody rifling through your brain. They're scanning your brain. They're trying to find out what information you know. They're trying to find out what's in there, even if you don't know it. I have things that have come up and tried to attack me for years. And I'll be like, what is this deal why do you want me gone? You know, well, it's something I know. Okay, well, I may know it, but I can't access it yet.
Is there any way you can get rid of it? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, well, you can. I mean, what you can do is you take that energy and light in you, Brian, and I teach people to do this all the time. Okay. I always tell people, close your eyes when you're learning how to start doing it. You don't have to later, but because your eyes are one of your senses, you don't want to use your senses. So close your eyes so that eliminates that. Picture a ball of light in the middle of your body. We'll pick a spot and your energy, and you imagine it in your mind as getting bigger and bigger and bigger until it pushes out through every crevice of your body, and then keep imagining it getting bigger so it goes out around you, almost like a protection. When that happens, these things that are trying to filter into your head, if they are negative, if they are dark, if they are ill-intended, it will shoot them off of you faster than you can imagine. And for people that know how to do it and have done it for a while, you will literally see things going off of other people. And it does offer you clarity.
I've got to get a hold of you like after the fact, after the show, and go into detail with that and talk about it.
What
But
kind of
so
things
they
fly
look
off
at
people?
see what's in your brain and stuff, right?
What
Yeah.
kind of things fly off
That-
people?
Have you got brain
The
fog
dark
there, Pete?
entities. I mean, we get, and you know this, we get dark entities that come in and try to do things to us. Some of them I just call them bottom feeders, because all they want to do is disrupt your life, disrupt your body, so that they can feed off that negative energy or the depressed energy or what I call gray energy. And literally, that's so subtle that you don't know what's going on. And you can't figure out why in the world today is everything in my life getting blown up? Or, God, I feel depressed, but I don't know why I feel depressed. You know?
Yeah.
And what happens is when you get there, if it's not been already done by them, and they're the reason that it's being that way, when you do get in those kind of funks, they come in and literally, they don't have a lot of power. They're not highly intelligent, but they just feed off of it. It's like going to Golden Corral at a buffet and saying, eat all you want.
Squabble gobblers. I call them squabble gobblers.
Exactly. So you take that energy and light in you and you push it out around you, and it literally is like zapping them with a hot wire.
See, they checked Beans out and they didn't find anything in his head. So
But
they
you
You want to know what I do? I don't have a problem with those beings. You want
No,
to know
you have to have a brain to have a problem with it. That's the problem.
But I've literally had people go and like walk up to a friend of theirs that's having that problem, but they can't seem to figure out how to use that energy and light to do it. And I'll say, take their hand. And they'll take their hand. I'll say, okay, now while you're doing it, extend it out of your body over around their body and fill up and do the same thing. You can do it with an entire room.
Okay.
My granddaughter got hold of me last night and she said, Grandma, she said, we walked in my bedroom, we saw something dive under my bed and something got tipped over. Will you scan my room for me? Okay, fine. So I scanned the room. I found out what it was, just a little dimensional thing. He's not ill-intended. Something was chasing him and he hid out there. And she's like, okay. She said, what do I do? And I took care of it for her. And now they get along. She told him he could stay.
Yeah. Well, I definitely have to delve into that more with you later. Cause I'm also like, it's like I'm tired all the time. Like I get up after a full night. I don't sleep much. I can't sleep.
Okay.
And when I do get up, I want to go right back to bed again. Like
I can tell you why. You may not like it, but I'll tell you why.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I want to know. Tell.
Right now, as that veil is thinning, as our world is falling apart, as there are more ETs here than there was before, a lot of things are going on. Now, the Bigfoots have had battles that have gone on for hundreds and thousands of years, and they're always talking about the big battle, but the big battle never comes. What happens is a lot of people that have really good contact with them and are spiritually connected with them, they pull out in dream state to help them do different things. Okay, I know this because I get pulled out constantly. I've woken up with broken bones, busted lips, bruises, whatever. It's not always for bad things to fight, but it is for things. And they're calling on more people to do this. So when you go to sleep at night, what happens in dream state is every bit as real and as dangerous as what happens in life when you're awake. It's just a different plane. That's all it is. Your body stays in one place. They take your essence, your soul, whatever you want to call it, and you go out and you do all these things. Pat, my friend in Texas, and myself, we get drug out almost every night. We all have the same memories in the morning. You know, they don't always let you remember things, or you will get what I call cover dreams, which are dreams that make absolutely no sense and they're just stupid. They're not an actual dream. It's just random things. Those are a cover dream because that way you don't know what's going on at night.
Oh.
And that's, Brian, why you're so exhausted, because you actually are working harder in dream state than you are
Your
when
second
you're awake.
job, your nighttime job is.
It is. It absolutely is. I mean, I've woken up because I was in a battle with them one night, and I remember being there. I remember seeing what was going on, and one of the ones that we were against, it was a bad Bigfoot at the time, grabbed my arm and jerked it, and it was so painful it woke me out of a sound sleep. I had a broken arm. I had to go to ER. How do you explain that to ER? You don't. I'm like, oh, I fell down. Okay. You know, I've had bruises. I've had busted lips. Pat's had a busted lip waking up. I mean, we do good things. Everything is for a greater good. And we will talk to the Sasquatch people about, you know, did we do good or what was it at or different things, you know. And it's a good thing, but there are a lot more people getting pulled out at night now than ever before. And because you have such a close connection to them and they've worked with you, I can almost guarantee it Brian, that's what's going on.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of getting frustrating. I felt like.
And I know how crazy it sounds.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah, I thought,
Brian
yeah, I have a
Bland,
humor. Then I thought,
the
well,
dull
you know,
warrior. He
What?
fights until he gets dull. When they sharpen you up, when they sharpen you up again, you can go back and fight some more.
oh, I'm too tired to fight.
Yeah, well, you'll rest up, and then they'll take you again. You're a good soldier.
But it's funny because I had Dr. John Stamey come here, and at that point in time, he was very interested in the Bigfoot and the lizard people and the dogmen and all that stuff. And I was doing conferences for him, and I quit doing conferences, but I started back up again because I was told by the Foots that people need to know what they were, what they really were, not what everybody talks about, but the fact they're people. They have their own culture, language, they write, they do the, you know, they wanted it all out there. So I'm like, okay, because I went underground after I did the conference in Russia. I stayed underground for a long time. And I only came forward again because the Bigfoots had asked me to. So I started doing that, and I started doing them for John because he doesn't put pressure on me to talk about any certain thing. He lets me do it how I want. And Beans will contest to this, but we were in Georgia. He knew the exact time that my brain got hijacked by the Bigfoot. And they're talking about all this stuff, and in my mind I'm going, they don't need to know this stuff. They don't need to know this. And they're going, yes, they do. Yes, they do. And I got done, and Beans was sitting in the audience, and he looked at me and he said, so they took over, huh? Like, yep, exactly. But John came over. His first time he stayed at my house. And my house was closer to the conference site than his. And I said, well, just, you know, I've got all these extra bedrooms. Come on in and you just stay here. So he was there with a friend of his, and they were outside getting their luggage. And I always said to the Foots was, I said, I don't want nobody scared. Okay, I've already said one time to them at another situation, you know, just, I want them to see there's some activity around here. Yeah, that was a disaster. You have to specify no damage and no scaring. Okay, we ended up with no water and a busted stove because they were the first time around. So now I specify what we can and cannot do. And I'm like, a little bit of activity, you can shake a bush, you can, you know, you can do this, you can do that, but you have to be really calm about it, blah, blah, blah. And so he was outside, and I saw him stop outside and look around like he was in shock. I go outside, I said, are you okay? And he points to the bushes. And the bushes were just a shaking 90 miles an hour. Scared the crap out of him. Then he comes in the house and he saw something run up the stairs. So he goes out onto the back porch and he sees one of the white Bigfoots that are around here do a belly crawl across the backyard. I'm like, now do you believe me? He said, well, I believed you before, but. He says, the one thing about you, he says, I've known you almost 2 years. He said, your stories never change. They're the same. I said, because you can't change the truth.
Absolutely. And
you know, the truth is what it is.
And when you have a really deep connection with Sasquatch, there's too much of a respect for them to ever even embellish anything, you know, like make
No, you can't.
I mean, you got to be exactly as it is. You know?
Yeah. And I mean, you know, you play by their rules, because if you have any hope of anything, you play by their rules. Right. And really, you know, you have to look at it from their standpoint on a lot of things, because self-preservation is key. And our people have not exactly been kind.
No.
You know, and I do tell people, you know, there's a lot of these people that run around and they're all good and it's all unicorns and rainbows and everything. They're not. The good ones are the deepest love you will ever feel. Their love goes far beyond what our loving capabilities are. Mm-hmm. But the bad ones are lethal. And there are bad ones.
I've never met a bad one myself, but I you know.
I've gotten called out to different areas where they were. The ones around me, I've not had bad ones around me. But I have gotten called to a couple areas where they were not good, and to help move them out, so to speak. I've been
I have
very
a question then. Is it because of the way the people are interacting with them, or are they actually just bad to the core?
They're bad. I mean,
okay.
You know, you have to understand, they are a people. Okay. Yeah. Even the DNA states they're people. And like with our people, we have schizophrenics, we have murderers, we have rapists, we have pedophiles. It is not any different. And some of your clans, depending on the area and the region, don't have a lot of contact with our people, so they're less civilized, and they don't want to have it. Some of them, and I kind of put this to people this way. If you look at the Amish, okay, the Amish have different sectors have different beliefs. Some will tolerate electricity, some won't. Some will allow it only in their business world, some don't. You know, some will not associate with anybody outside of the Amish culture. And it's basically the same with them. And so you have, like, I call them the eaters. You know, there are not a lot of them, but there are some clans that are cannibalistic, because just like we have, you know, out in different continents or whatever that are keep away from everybody, and they claim that they are cannibalistic. I mean, I don't know that they are because I've never been there, but they are the same way. And it's just a different culture. I mean, these are a people. Their culture is different than ours. It's never going to be like ours. And that causes a lot of conflict because people don't try to understand their ways. Their ways are not our ways. They're completely different. We may do something to mean one thing where they do another. I get countless people that come up to me and they're like, I had the most terrifying experience. I ran, you know, I was in the woods and there was a Bigfoot there and it terrified me. And I'm like, what did it do? Well, it yelled at me. What did it do? It yelled at me. Okay, did it occur to you that it wasn't yelling to be aggressive? Possibly you were too close to one of their children. They were hunting, or maybe you were in a territory that had a bear or a cougar or something that could have hurt you. You know, don't just look at this and say because they look different from us and they yelled that that's an attack. That is not an attack.
I think it'd be a greeting too, because I've had them yelling and screaming and stuff, and I know it wasn't aggressive. Absolutely. It was just like, I'm here.
Absolutely. Now, my next door neighbor, who's a lovely woman, and I let her know about the Bigfoot people, because if she's going to live next door to me, she's going to see them. I mean, it's a fact. It's just the way it works. You know, I can't change it. I don't have any control over it. And so I did let her know. And I said, the first thing you're going to want to do is grab your gun. And you don't do that because you don't want to go down that path. Number one, they can misfire a gun in a heartbeat and use energy to do it, and they don't have to get close to you. Two, it's been proven in history, people have been found with that gun of a shotgun wrapped around their neck like a coil. You know, and you don't just start shooting things. These are living, breathing people. You know, understand where they're coming from. Obviously, you have to protect yourself, but just existing is not a threat to you. And so she was getting ready to have a wedding reception for her son in her backyard. And one of her other boys, who's an adult, was out there, and he was over by the tree line, and he looked up, and there stands this big, large black Bigfoot. And he did the whole, which, because when they speak, it's so guttural and it's so deep in the chest, could have been a hello.
And a greeting, greeting grunt.
Yeah, and it's not understood because it's so deep and it's so guttural, you can't understand it. And so he ran in the house and said, Mom, you don't believe what I saw. Where's the gun? Where's the gun? And she said, what did you see? And he told her, she says, no guns. Robin already said that's the biggest way to make an enemy, and you don't want to go there. He'll be fine. Just leave him alone. And she said, when I talked to her son, I said, did it take off? And he said, that was the craziest thing. It had to have moved really fast. And I said, why? And he said, I never saw it leave. It was there 1 minute and gone the next. I said, because it never left. It just cloaked. It stood there the whole time. And so her grandson was outside a couple days later, and one walked from her yard into the back of my yard and into the woods. And now they get along great with them. They've hit 2 or 3 sightings, and it's very, copacetic. Nobody argues. Nobody fights. They did take one of her flower pots one time and brought it over to my house, and I took it back. But other than that, I mean, they have a very decent relationship. I mean, they tolerate each other well. There's no feuding. But you have to look at it from their side, because their ways are different. They're never going to be our ways. Yeah. The meaning of things are not our meanings.
Well, I've always said that too, that because they are people, they are flesh and blood people, just with amazing abilities, that some of them are not going to be friendly.
No,
right?
And that's why. And there are people will say to me, well, this one must not have abilities. It didn't do anything. Yeah. Well, because like the Amish, some sectors do not believe in using their abilities. And unless the adults teach the children that they have the abilities, they don't know that they do.
We got another
Robin, wait, let me- we have a question here that Robin maybe can answer.
hang on a second. We got another member of our family just joined us, Hillary.
Yeah.
Hi, Hillary.
Good day, everyone.
So-
Blessings.
So if you want to ask any questions,
Rhonda Elliott.
just feel free.
Rhonda Elliott asked, will the good ones keep the bad ones away? I think that's a good question.
That is a
At
good one.
times, yes,
the
they
good
do.
ones-
Absolutely.
Like
I
this,
have had-
sorry,
I have
vibration, right?
what?
So I kind of delay. Sorry for interjecting, but a real easy way to answer that is just vibration, because certain vibrations exist and other vibrations cannot exist in those vibrations. It's just against physics. So it can just be a really clean answer without a lot of, other stuff brought around it.
Yeah. Now I was out in my yard one day and we had one that was not from, I had like 2 or 3 clans at that time that hung around my house. And we had one wander and that was not one of those clans. And they, for whatever reason, the Bigfoots did not feel that it was good to be around me. And they told me, they said, go in the house, stay in the house, don't come out. Okay, fine. So I go in the house and I look outside and there's this gigantic rock fight going from one side of my property to the other. And they're just throwing rocks back and forth and you see them run off. So they will protect you. They have. That doesn't mean all of them will. I wish there was an easy answer because there's no rhyme or reason to what they will do for people. Sometimes you ask them for help, you don't get it. Other times you ask them, you do get it.
That makes perfect sense because they protected me. They've rescued me when I was lost in the woods.
They've saved my life.
They carried me. Yeah. So, okay. I mean, I agree. I mean, obviously there are bad ones or ones that don't care
They're
for
mostly
people.
good. I'm going to be honest. I think there's more good than there is bad.
Absolutely. But some of them don't care for people or whatever. So do you think, just for interest's sake, do you think any of the 411 disappearances could be connected with bad Sasquatch or unfriendly ones?
Yeah, sure. I don't think all of them are.
No.
I think that there is a higher concentration of a problem with that from the ETs and when I say ETs, there's so many thousands of different kinds of ETs. There's good ones, there's bad ones like everything else. But there's also some other things that portray them to be Bigfoot that are not a Bigfoot, that are highly aggressive and dangerous. But you've got a lot of things, paranormally speaking, that are out in those woods. Not just Bigfoots. Now, there are definitely some that I would bet any amount of money on that were Bigfoot related. And, especially when it comes to these kids. Now, in their mind, they are so maternal to begin with. They really and truly are. Like, we'll let our kids go out in the yard to play. We know that our kids are there because we're watching them while we're, let's say we're making lunch or whatever, and you're looking out the window. Or you have a fenced in yard and you think, well, they can go out freely and play, these little kids, because you're watching them. They're in a fenced in yard. But when you interpret that over to the Bigfoot, they're going, oh my God, this child's out there alone.
Yeah.
They do pick them up. They do grab them. And there was one in the 411 about a little boy named Jared that had gone, his dad had some type of I don't want to say a campground because I don't remember it that clearly, but and he was working, and some of the people that were there were going up on a hike, and they took this little, I think he was like 3 or 4 years old, Jared, with him, and it got snatched. Do I think that was a Bigfoot? 110%. I didn't pick up, like, I can look at things and pick up an energy. Everything leaves an energy trail, and it stays. The energy trail doesn't go away. It can't be erased. So you can pick up that energy trail and kind of backtrack it to find things. And in that case, do I think it was a Bigfoot? I actually do. But I don't believe that they took him in an act of aggression. He was walking behind a bunch of people. The backs were turned. In their mind, look at this little kid is not being acknowledged. She's not being watched. She's wandering around. And I'm not saying that he wasn't being watched. I'm saying in their mind, that's how they're going to perceive that. And I think they did grab him. I honestly do. And I don't think that they killed him. I think he died of what all the kids normally do that are taken, and it's the elements. Our bodies are not okay living in the woods, not to mention the fact that 9 out of 10 of them do not understand clothing. So the first thing they do is peel off the clothing because they think it's something trying to constrict this child. Now, occasionally you'll get a foot that'll grab clothes off a clothesline or, whatever, and use it. They used to take the clothes. I had big garbage bags of baby clothes, or not baby clothes, but from my grandson. They're forever taking those clothes, forever taking them. And I'd find the bags out in the woods, and some of the clothes were still there. Some of them I'd find spread out all over. I don't necessarily know that they ever used them, but they sure had fun with them.
Yeah, they seem to like toothpaste too. I found an empty tube of toothpaste that they
Yep.
sucked the toothpaste out of and put like right in an obvious place, right?
I'm telling you, and you don't even want to know about the Parmesan cheese. Trust me, they steal every Parmesan cheese I ever buy.
I could tell not a million. I could tell a lot of stories of how they've rescued me, protected me, and whatever. So they definitely the ones that are with you, that they take care of you.
They do. They
Yeah.
do. I had went up and I was in the mountains in Pennsylvania with a friend, and I actually had slid off a cliff, and I was literally hanging there, and I couldn't get. When I fell off the cliff, I was on a branch, and I couldn't get my legs over to the side, and I would have had to go up above my head to even get up there. And I watched my hand slip, and that was the last thing I remembered. And when I woke up, I was on a ledge above it.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I knew what they had done. They told me what they did, but they've saved my life 3 or 4 times. I mean,
Absolutely, me too.
I'm absolutely blessed.
Yeah. Uh-oh. I just got a message from somebody on Facebook. Hello, I have good news for you. I will be deleting them very, very soon. Because that good news is always they're trying to rip me off.
Yeah.
I've got good news for you. Bye.
Yep. And I tell you what, they're a really good judge of people, because I've met people and that try to come off as being really sweet, and they're like, no, just no. I'm like, okay, sounds good to me.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody got a question for Robin?
They're going,
Well,
no,
I was going to say this thing about people being snatched, and there's being blamed for the Sasquatch. There's another layer here that Robin talked about, and that is this: Sasquatch have been at war, and we have been at war with things seen and unseen for thousands of years. And
Absolutely.
one of the people who is basically our enemy is the reptilians. And there's a story right now on I think it's Sasquatch Oddity or Odyssey, or what, I think that's the name. It's a YouTube channel where this guy was captured by some, what I think, he thought that they were Sasquatch, and he was captured by them. They put his hand on his shoulder and they started to kill him by just energetically killing him. They started
I got called about that. I haven't talked to that gentleman.
Yeah.
Well,
the thing is that they are actually stalking, and to them, they hunt humans and they play with humans, cat and mice, and they kill them. You know what I mean? They have a target.
Can I say something about that?
Yeah, go for it.
This has been really troubling. A very dear friend of mine, his name is Duke Sullivan. He runs World Bigfoot Radio. Just a super guy. He had called me about that, and he sent me the link so I could listen to it. And number one, I feel for Mark completely. I really do. I think that he is 100% legitimate. He deserves everybody's compassion and understanding in that. Nothing will I say against him, because even though I haven't met him, but I think that he is the real deal. And I believe everything he said. That being said, I have been asked by countless people about this. And it's really important that we understand that all of these paranormal creatures, beings, people, whatever you want to call them, they can shapeshift. And even if they don't shapeshift, they can make you mentally think that you're looking at something that you are not.
Right.
Now, I do believe that there were, from the energy that I could pick up on that, there were a couple Bigfoots there. But, and I say but in a huge exclamation point, you have Bigfoots out there that have been cast off from the clan because they are not good. You have some that have got mental issues that are bad. And you also have children of the Bigfoot people that have been abducted by their own people that are bad, just like that happens in our world. Okay, so you have those 3 components. And what I picked up off of that was there was a couple of them there that were like that. What he thought was the Bigfoot that were talking to him and kept saying they were going to kill them. Those, I'm sorry, I will go to my grave saying that those were not Bigfoot. They did not have
No,
energy
I
of a
think
Bigfoot.
they're reptilians because he
I
saw them
absolutely
with
agree.
what do you call them? What, cloaks on,
Yeah,
what, hoods on, and they said that they lived underground. So
Yeah.
you know that those
they
are
are
two
not
things.
Bigfoot. And I think that the
They're
few
not
Bigfoot
Bigfoot.
that were there were either controlled by them or forced them there. Now, another thing that he said that really resonated with me was he said there was a big explosion and a big pop in the fire pit, and then something told him to run. Now, many of us already know this. They can start fire. Okay, I've watched them do it. They can do it manually, they can do it with their own energy, and they can explode that fire exactly like what happened. And then you had one telling him to run.
Yeah.
That was a Bigfoot. That was a good one that was trying to save his life and actually did.
I agree.
Yeah.
And
I know they can start fire. They've actually started fire for me before.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they can do it manually, but they can also not even touch it and do it. And I think what went on, my own opinion, like, I'm not going to tell anybody to think a certain way. I never do. But I happen to agree with Beans, man. That was totally reptilian. I have a suspicion where they came from, which I'm not going to get into right now. But, there were 3 Bigfoot that were there besides the reptilian that were not good. I was able to
they
pick
were
up
under
3.
mind control because one of the things that the
Absolutely.
reptilians are under can do is they have what do you call it? They violate people's minds, and that's one of those. There's things they control people's minds like as a weapon, so they know how to do that. And so you could take some weak Sasquatch, and
Right,
they
exactly.
can control their
But
mind.
I picked up 3 separate energy trails of Bigfoots that were helping them, whether it's through mind control or they were bad or what. I picked up the same thing Beans did. It was more of a mind control. And then there was a 4th one. And the 4th one was not working with them. The 4th one was a good one. And the 4th one is the one that helped him and saved his life.
Yeah.
I would love to talk to him at any time. I just feel so much compassion for what he went through. I can't even comprehend the terror that poor guy had to feel. And then because these things were playing head games with him, that made it even worse. Because they're going to force him to feel what they want him to feel. People talk about that wall of fear that the Bigfoots can create, and they do. They can use that wall of fear to make you turn around and go back because it makes you feel fearful. They can use that to get your attention so you don't go into an area where you shouldn't be, or because they're just bad.
Yeah.
And so I just feel a lot of compassion for this guy. I really and truly do.
Yeah. Not only can they, you said the reptilians were presenting themselves in the Sasquatch form. They can also have somebody, like, for instance, I was with a friend of mine and I had a Sasquatch walk right across my path.
Yeah.
Except it was completely invisible and it just materialized halfway across the path.
Oh yeah, they do that a lot.
But I saw a Sasquatch and he saw a little Toto dog. Because he wasn't ready to see a Sasquatch. So, I mean, they can not only impersonate, they can not only shapeshift into something else, they can have you see what they want you to see.
Yep. And all of these paranormal beings have a lot of the same abilities. So all these wonderful things that our Sasquatch people have that we think are so endearing, the other things have it as well. And it may not be so endearing if they use it for bad.
Right. By the way, Teresa and Hillary or anybody has a question, just interject. That's pretty informal here. So.
Yeah. So I missed like the
Hillary,
whole.
because you're on and you're also waiting. So you must be on 2 different devices. Or is there 2 of you?
There's always more than one.
It doesn't matter. I mean, you're here, so we got you. But I see you.
Yeah. I don't know. Everything was going doubles for me today. So just working with that element.
I gotta go.
Bye, Teresa.
Bye. Gotta go. See you next time.
Oh, bye, Teresa.
Bye.
Oh, you gotta go?
I gotta go now.
Did you want to say something before you go? Last question or anything? Or
No, I love these stories and I love what's going on. So keep on, just keep on
Yeah,
doing
you need
the
to
stories.
contact me. I want you to do my chart.
I will. I do Akashic records, not charts, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but I want you to do it.
Yeah, we'll get together. We'll do that.
Definitely. Take
All
care,
right.
sweetheart.
Thank you. Love you lots. Bye-bye.
Love you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Henry.
See
Bye.
ya. Thanks for stopping in.
Thank you.
She is such a doll.
Here she goes.
There she goes.
Now we can talk about her now that she's gone. What we really think. No, I'm just joking. She's a great lady. See what I have to deal with this Mr. Beans though. The guy is like he's like a host. He's like a co-host and an absentee kind of thing. He's never around.
It froze on my screen. I had this crazy picture of you in the middle of this shitty grid.
So, what do you think? Are we frozen or are we okay?
She's gone void.
Yeah.
I have her.
No, Robin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, where is she? Oh, she got off. Let me see if I can invite her back. Are you back? Yeah. Okay. So, actually, I heard this one other time. Mr. Beans was telling me that one time you saw a Sasquatch walk across your yard or something, but you only saw the bottom half of them or something.
Yeah. We got a lot of that. Like it's really disconcerting to look out into my yard and see a leg, like one leg going across the yard, or an arm or a shoulder. You know, one night I was driving, about 10, 11 o'clock.
You're really breaking up.
Deer.
You're freezing. Is your internet connection bad, Robin?
No, mine's fine. I have full bars.
Oh, wonder what's going on. Huh.
It's a jam.
Weird.
Yeah, but he jumped from the side of the road and he was cloaked when he jumped. And he landed in front of my car. He was chasing a deer. He landed uncloaked for just a brief second. I could see him and I saw him jump to go leap back into the woods on the other side. And he got halfway into the leap and he was cloaked again.
But you just saw the bottom half of them, right?
Well, no, I've seen the one that, yeah, we've had them that was a different one. But yeah, they'll walk across. You'll just see the lower half and nothing on top. I had one that came in one day and this was at my old house. And I had put some stuff out in the woods. They had toys out there for the kids and I had snacks and stuff for him. Came in to get some and he went to grab stuff and he turned around and he saw me and I looked at him. I saw him full figure and he cloaked everything. He had the conial head where a lot of them don't. And he cloaked everything but the tip of that head. It looked like a yarmulke floating through the woods. It was crazy.
Okay, so tell us about, in your opinion, there's ancient ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the regular kind of guys that are just like, like I guess the ancient ones, they live for
Hundreds and hundreds of years, yeah.
Yeah, and I've also heard they reincarnate back into the same body again, or the same Sasquatch again. But
yeah, I mean, most of them live anywhere, that I've seen, and I've to anywhere I want to say between 60 to 80 years old. They seem pretty comparable with us. But then once they pass, they go into spirit form and they can come back in another body, or, the ancient ones will live on even in spirit form.
Right. And they can also live thousands of years, right?
Oh, absolutely. The ancient ones, I think, actually do. I know a lot of your elders and stuff.
I have a theory about that actually.
Go ahead.
So to me, the ancient ones that I've connected with are from back in Lemuria, back in a time where we existed in a higher density and were more vibrating on sort of a plasmic level or an ethereal level. And then the ones that we are in communion as we are in this 3D, 4D construct, it's like These are the ones that are like us who have dropped into these more denser dimensions. They're still interdimensional. Our sparks are interdimensional. We've kind of lost our gift of our cities, like our abilities to move, levitate, do all these fantastic natural innate gifts that we have. Whereas, you know, some of these other beings haven't quite lost those arts and those skills. Some have been enslaved and have had them used for weaponry, just as we've had psychics and beings in our clans who've been used for weapons. But the ancient ones are the ones that still exist as our soul stars still exist in these higher spheres or densities. And so it's really just the as above, so below. And when you're in that existence, you know, really, I almost would like to say timelessness begins. And like you're almost kind of moving away from time as we know it. Just as there's other colors and other sounds and other ways of being and expressing that we cannot necessarily manifest as we are in this density. You know, certain colors don't express in this density. So as we are up in that ascension quality, we then begin to express on many different levels certain tones and frequencies that just, you know, by law wouldn't be able to manifest in a low, low, low bass tone vibration. So, you know, the ancient ones are just the ones who haven't fallen, as I see it, as I've been taught.
Yeah.
Very cool.
You're back.
Rachel has another question. She wants to know if they Sasquatch feel pain and trauma like the way human beings do.
Yeah.
Well, they do and they don't, because I mean, there's a place of transcension. Like a woman, for example, I don't know if you know Nassim Haramein, but his wife, he's a quantum physicist, brilliant genius. His wife had an ecstatic birth, so her actual, you would say, contractions weren't expressing in pain. Certain women in Russia have mastered this ability as well, but they would have like an orgasm akin to a contraction, and we witnessed her do this. She did this. You can't fake that either. So I would say that these beings, you know, that are more connected, we're like very disconnected as humans, and then we make up all this crazy shit because we're neurotic. But it's like they have this tone where like you can channel pain as pleasure. It's the art of transcension and alchemy. So I would say Sasquatch and many different beings, whether they're of the Davic or like the fairy or, you know, dragon, their sense of pain is going to be real, yes, but they also have a way of channeling pain so it doesn't affect them the way it does us. And we too, we can do this as well. And in fact, I'm having lots and lots of beings contacting me saying, enough of this. You need to seal the doors, putting in this light, just like dissolving, like if you were to dissolve something. You want to dissolve all these spells that we're speaking and really fine tune like a tuning fork, okay? Like you want to tune the frequencies. So again, like these energetics happen where we have resonance to these manipulative psychic attacks, etc. We are hosts, so they are parasites. So as a host, you want to be very mindful for what you're hosting. Like if you're a podcast host, you know, you're mindful of like, are you going to bring somebody who's just going to make everything feel really scary and people will want to like go away? No, you don't want to do that. So we want to, like a satellite, you know, receive transmissions, receive information, and then broadcast it as a signal and keep our signal so clear that every energetic being drawn to us is of that high, you know, loving, life-giving element. These are the...
Robin?
I think I just want to say one thing really quickly. I think as far as pain and hurt and guilt and judgment, I think that they're on an energy level where they don't have to take it on. So that with us, it lowers our vibration or whatever. They can kind of observe it without taking on they can kind of
We
observe it from,
what we participate in, that's called will. So if your will is aligned to energies and it's like an invitation, everything works in magic as an invitation. So you first have to, invite, or you first have to RSVP and attend an invitation. So I've been practicing really carefully as we're going into this, a Lion's Gate coming up on the 8/8, where we're going through a stargate, we're going through a portal, and you'll see there's lots of activity above. So, I mean, everything's really open right now. So it's like, again, just as like you're in this space of everything is existing, what are you communicating with? And if you're there to fall into these places where there's trauma, then you're there to facilitate either a healing or a guidance as a lifeguard to like guide you out of trauma. I guess if you're a warrior, you would battle. But it's like knowing your vibration and what you're there to do and to serve, so you don't get lost.
The reason why I wanted Robin to answer was because before you joined, we were talking about how Robin has been designated a healer of Sasquatch. So she's had many experiences of hands-on and psychic and healing of Sasquatch. And I think
I get a lot of them that will come in, whether it's a female in childbirth, whether somebody that's injured. We had one several weeks ago that had been shot, and the person that he was close with, fortunately, I didn't know him well, but he contacted me, and I was able to find where he was at and found out that he had been shot, and I was able to get that out. And you can do these healings remotely. You use the energy from your body. Energy really is the key. Your vibrations, your energy, that's the key to all of it. And I've had them, come to me, and I have one particular one that we just absolutely love him. He's been around for a while now. He's an older one. And he's got arthritis and all that kind of stuff. And where he lives at, it's generally winter. I mean, he has a lot of cold there. And so in the summertime, wintertime, we've now invited him to come down by us where he's safe. But it's a matter of you take the energy from your body and you heal it. You focus on it, you imagine it in your mind, and you take the energy and you just simply do it. And, so I'm able to help him with the arthritic pain and that kind of thing. The one that got shot, I was able to take energy to force the bullet out, and then you visualize what you want done, whether it be the tissues healing, the bone healing, or whatever, and you take your vibration, you take your energy, and you do it. That being said, they also have the ability to take pain from you if you're in a very painful position and take it away from you as well. And I've had them do that, and I know many people that also have had them do that. Now, I had one that I'm excessively close to, and he had actually gotten hurt, and I was asleep when he got hurt, and I felt everything that happened to him. Every single thing that happened to him. I woke up out of bed with the start screaming because I was in so much pain, and I instantly knew it was his. Like, I didn't have to be told or even think about why did I feel like that. I knew, because as soon as I felt it, I got the image of it happening to him, and I knew it was him. And then he's like, and my kids, my kids grew up around these, so the Foots heard them call me Mom. So I have a few of them that call me Mom, just because my kids did. I have other ones that will call me by my tribal name that they gave me. Some of them will say Robin, whatever. And I'm very close to this particular one. And he's like, Mom, help, just help. But I'm like, okay, I got it. I already knew everything that happened, and I felt it. So just as they can take the pain from us, we can take it on from them to make it bearable as well. But then when you use the vibrations and the energy, you can control it. And I'm not going to say that this works for everybody, because I think it depends on the person, how receptive they are to it. But I did have a very dear friend years ago who's now passed away, unfortunately, from cancer. But in the final stages, he was in so much pain, the pain meds didn't help. And he would send me a text, and he would just say, whether it was a number, a letter, whatever he had to do. And I would know that his pain level was more than he could bear, and then I would remove the pain.
oh,
So,
And what
yeah,
about trauma? Because I have a feeling that the long history of conflicts between humans and Sasquatch and other Sasquatch and Sasquatch and ETs. And What about emotional trauma?
You can take your energy and take your vibration. You can calm them. You can try to make things easier for them to process. Absolutely.
But they do have it, right? They're just
Yeah.
basically that
Oh,
human,
yeah.
just on another
You,
level.
you have to understand that they do have that human lineage. Regardless of what's on the flip side of it, the human lineage is still there. And so they have those emotions. They have those things. You know, if they get cut, they hurt. They holler, they scream. You know, I had one that was up in a tree horsing around with another one and fell down and broke his leg. You know, and Pat was at work, and Pat gets, the thing of it is they contact me directly, but they also contact people I know and say, get that woman, I need help now. And Pat will contact me at least once a day, if not more. And as he's doing different places in his job, because he is in delivery, he's going around and he'll come into areas with different foots. And as soon as they pick up his energy and vibration, they're like, listen, we have this one sick, we have that one sick, or this land has been tainted. We need her to clear this land and clean this land. So he's constantly calling me from work going, okay, you know, we have a chat group for him, myself, and my friend in Texas. And he'll go like, go to the chat. All the information is on the chat. And she does the same thing. And then I just take it from there and I'll say, okay, check with them now and find out where we're at with it. And they'll come back and say, okay, we're good, or we need a little more, or this is going on. And like I said, again, I verify the holy crap out of everything to the point where I'm neurotic with it. Because when you're talking about healing emotionally or physically, there's no room for error. I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to do anything but heal them, but I also don't want to do anything half-assed. If it's not where it needs to be, then I need to keep working till I get it right and it gets completed.
Yeah. Does anybody have any thoughts on, I mean, because my understanding is, and I'm sure, is that we at one time had all the abilities that they have.
100%.
So they're not that far different from us.
100%.
I mean, I mean, they still have their physical lives and, you know, families and activities and things they do and whatever. But the difference, well, I mean, and there's other differences, but the big difference is that they didn't have those abilities blocked off or whatever.
No, we did.
So that's why they seem like magic or whatever. But I mean, but they are opening a lot of those abilities in us. As you know, as we know, talking to each other and talking to other people, we're all, you know, like, there's so many people who have got these amazing gifts that are opening up.
Yeah, and it's like with the portals.
Yeah.
They open and close these
What do you
portals all the
think?
time.
Does anybody have a thought on why did we get everything closed off, and when did it happen, and why did it happen? And I mean,
I don't think we
not the
did. I
government.
think we have a different system.
No, the government needs to keep us under control. If we have all these abilities, we can do anything. We don't need them.
That too. And religion. Don't
Yeah.
forget they burned the witches.
And that's a huge one. The religious aspect, you know, people tend to think that the religion is some kind of demonic activity. It's, or the paranormal abilities are demonic. That's a load of crap.
but is it like the is the pineal, has it been closed off, or is it just that we don't think that we have those abilities, and we don't think like that?
People say it's been closed, and I'm not going to say it hasn't, because I'll be honest, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm never going to say something that I don't believe in 110%, but I think it's more a mental closure than it is anything else, because we have been taught for hundreds of years these things do not exist.
Right.
And if you're taught something and it's embedded in your brain, you block yourself. So I don't necessarily know that this pineal gland has been closed in a figurative manner, on an emotional level, possibly. Because if you're told something, if you live in an abusive relationship, and I did it one time, so I get it, and you're told you are nothing but crap, and you are this, and you are this, even though you know inside you're a better person than that, when you live it 24 hours a day, 8 days a week, after a certain amount of time, you're broken down emotionally and you believe it. Now, you go back hundreds of years, people that had these abilities were considered witches. They were burned at the stake.
Yeah.
So the religious aspect is going to be that it doesn't exist. If you go in the Bible, you're going to find ETs in the Bible. You're going to hear about the hairy giants. Those things are in there. But religion, all your different religions create their religion to their own beliefs. Yeah. Now, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. 110%. I talk to him daily. I mean, as far as, myself, we all speak to God at times. I pray, I do all those things. But when it comes to religion, I don't adhere to a certain religion because each religion has created it around their own ways. And they all feel they're right. And then you battle between religions because, my way is better than your way.
But do you not think that religions are trying to control us and manipulate us? I believe in God and Jesus or whatever, but I don't believe in the story so much that they're telling us. I don't believe a lot of it because I think a lot of it is manipulation.
Oh, I agree. And it's been rewritten 20 different ways.
Yeah. Right.
Do I believe in the actuality of the God and all of it? Absolutely.
Well, I believe we're all part of God.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. There's all these things.
Well, maybe not Mr. Beans, but
but there's all these things that have closed us off. And really, I mean, we are only a shred of what we normally would be.
Well, I mean, like, for instance, like you're a Christian, and I'm not bad-mouthing Christianity, but it's a box of beliefs, and they are told that if anything talks to you outside of God or whatever, or anything like that, it's bad. I mean, so you're automatically closed off to anything that is outside of that box of beliefs.
Yeah, I believe in God. I believe that he created the heavens and the earth. I believe in a lot of things, but I'm my own religion because I don't adhere to any certain one. I just don't. I've tried different religions and I've been let down time and time again because of the things they say. A very dear friend of mine years ago had, I think she was Lutheran. I can't remember Lutheran or Nazarene, but anyway, she wanted me to go to her church. I went to this church. I took the classes to be there, and I had a child that passed away. Okay, one of the hardest things any human being will ever go through, and you don't get over it. And I went into this church thinking that I'm going to get comfort in some way, and I was taking the classes. And the very first class, it was only the male members of the church that taught this class, which I had a problem with to begin with.
That's a big problem.
Yeah.
That's a big problem.
That my 3-month-old son died for sins that I had.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. You've never seen a woman throw a chair as quick in your life. To begin with, I am not a perfect person. I have never claimed to be a perfect person. No, I don't believe in perfection. But I know every day of my life, I get up and I try to be a good person. And I falter just like everybody else does, but there is not one thing I've ever done in my life that would justify the death of my son.
Yeah. The world has to come back into balance with the female and male energies or whatever. It is ludicrous.
Oh, I was
ludicrous the way that religions have treated women and society in general. It's ludicrous. Yeah. We're just selling ourselves short. We're missing like half of the picture.
Yeah.
So you actually picked up a chair and threw it?
I certainly did.
Yes. Very good. I hope you hit somebody too.
Yeah, I was so mad. What I was trying to do was I got up and I tried to push the chair in and it kept hitting the leg, and I was so mad, and they were sitting there hammering at me about, they wanted to know what I did that caused my son to die. And I said, there's nobody that fought for my son's life more than I did. I almost died in the process myself, and I was happy to give my life for him. I was so mad I picked up that chair and just flung it right across the table.
Good for you. Good for you. What'd they do?
Jumped back and just looked at me and started yelling. I was already on my way out the door. I said, you guys can all burn in hell.
Great. Well,
I don't think I got angel wings that day. I don't care.
No, you did. You did.
Well, the thing of it is, and like I said, I will never claim to be a perfect person or the best person. I have many faults. I will admit them dearly. But you know what? I help people at the expense of myself. I am on call 24 hours a day, 8 days a week. I don't take time off from this. If I'm on vacation, I'm still helping people. If I take my family to the movies, I cannot tell you how many times I get up in the middle of the movie to go into the bathroom to take a call because somebody is in peril. And I do this because I want to, because I feel honored that anybody would even want my help, to be honest with you. And I feel blessed if I can. But to tell me that whatever I have done was enough to kill a child, never. I will never believe that till the day I die.
No, that's manipulation, control, and I'm not interested in any religion that puts women below men, or any any kind of application of that in society, whatever. It's archaic. It's like, I'm sorry, women have, you know, it's ridiculous. I'm glad you threw that, sure. And I, you know, of course, those guys with their righteousness, they probably thought, you know, they were very justified in it and how hard they were.
Most people that know me know this. I have a lot of patience, and I again, I'm not the best person at times, but I try to, you know, be calm about things. But when I get pushed to that point, it's a nuclear point. Like I try to stay easy to get along with, even in rough situations. But once I get there, it's definitely nuclear.
Are you guys seeing Robin freeze up, or is it the rest of us too? Because she's breaking up a lot, freezing. Are we freezing?
I can see me moving.
Are we freezing, Mr. Beans?
I can sail out of here and then it'll open up more bandwidth. Because you guys seem like you're in like a really good conversation, and so I'll tune out and then everybody can just carry on and it'll free up more space.
Oh
I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
We love having you here.
I'm a silent witness to this beautiful Trinidad of energy. Story time. Robin's
here
hosting story time.
I love what you're talking about healing people. That was good stuff.
No, I mean, yeah, we obviously want you here, but I'm just wondering why the only person I'm seeing breaking up and freezing is Robin. And
that's because I don't talk.
And that's because they draw energy.
Yeah.
It's very possible. The dogs were going crazy downstairs and I couldn't figure out why, because I'm the only one home. And like they were just losing their minds. So it just could be the foot around here.
Well, tell them that we're having a good
almost every show we have the
it's like they want me to do this stuff, so
yeah. I mean, they want this stuff to be talked about, so tell them to
yeah, it's crazy. It's like we'll be in my living room and see a big black shadowy figure walk into the dining room. You follow it, it's gone. I got up one morning and I was the only one here, and I was in the living room and my TV was off and all the dogs were outside. There's not one dog in the house. And I kept hearing over by the TV, it sounded like a barking dog, cats, everything. And none of the animals were around. So I walked over to the TV to see what it was, and it shifted and I heard footsteps and it ran into the kitchen and started doing it over by the back door. So I go in the kitchen, I follow this noise into the kitchen, and I hear the shuffling of feet, go back over to the TV, and it starts up again. And we played this game for like a half hour, 45 minutes. And I'm like, I don't care, just play, have a good time. You know, the house rule is as long as you come here with an open heart and you're not ill-intended, I don't care who you are or what you are, you can stay. You know, I have pictures of portals in my front yards with this head coming out of it. I have no idea what it's the head of, but it comes out of it, you know?
Yeah, you can, I mean, yeah, you have to specify that it's going to be a good, and you know.
You have to. Yeah. If you don't lay that foundation down and say, listen, you have to be pure of heart, as the Foots put it. You have to be not ill-intended. You will get everything and it will run rampant. And then you have to be forceful enough that when those things do try to come in, and they do, you have to know how to deal with them so they get the message loud and clear. Come here, you will be toast. So take that back to your little friends and give notice, you know?
So
you guys remind me of something when you talked about the big black shape. Brian sat down one day and we kind of hashed out like 10 different ways that you can see Sasquatch. And one of them is the smoke figure and the blackout figure. How many ways do you think you can count of the way, like you have you just described one which I don't think Brian has seen, which you can just see one part of an animal, one part of the arm or the leg or something.
Oh yeah.
So how many different ways do you think you've seen?
Me?
Or
oh my God, I don't even think I could count it. I really don't, because it's like hit and miss. You see these random things. I've seen where it looks like a ball of light that opens up and materializes into them, or you'll see them and then they turn into the ball of light. You know, we have to
shape shift into trunks of trees.
Oh, isn't
like
it
you'll
crazy?
see a trunk of a tree, and then all of a sudden it'll start smiling at you, and you're like, "What?" Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one. They're like great at camo, hey? So like you're looking at these rocks, and all of a sudden one walks out, and you're like, "Wow."
I watched one. go across the road, and where I live at, the road was made through rock. So you've got like a 20, 30-foot rock wall on each side. And it came down from one, ran across, and just went right into the rock. You know, one night I was sitting here, and I had a security camera in the front yard, because I used to like to watch the deer and stuff like that in the front yard. Well, they've killed off the security camera, but at that time it was still alive. And it looked like this massive deer that was like the size of a moose come into my yard. I'm watching it on the security camera footage because I had it hooked into my tablet. It walked up to my tree line on one side, down the tree line, and this is all my front yard, went up on its hind legs, and you see its hooves reaching up and grabbing branches and stuff and whatever. And then it went back down on all fours and went to the garage, and then you didn't see it again. Next thing I know, you can see my front porch, and there's a Bigfoot, and it squatted down. It came back up as this big giant deer, and then it morphed down into a Bigfoot. And when we were kids, we used to do that like a duck walk. So you're sitting on your calves and you're walking like that. And it did that out into the front yard. And I had a place where I put bird seed down all the time. And it walked over to where did this walk like the duck walk, all the way over to the pile of seed. And it stopped, and it's grabbing the seed, and it's eating the seed, and it looks right over at the camera. I see it. And next thing you know, it morphs into a raccoon and runs off like a bat out of hell.
You ever seen an energy trail, like an energy impression of them, like when they're running by, and you see like pop, 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 pop. Yeah. I know, yeah.
And then you have it when they shimmer, so it looks like you're looking at them through a glass of water.
I call that the predator kind of thing.
Yeah, it is. And
I've
then you
seen
can
that, yeah.
the fully cloaked, where you can literally see nothing. And then they do that counting coup thing where they're completely cloaked, but they come up and they put their hand on you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's like hide and go seek to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that they've been playing with us this whole time. We just forgot when you see the wind move through trees and there's no wind, or when you see that little figure of light move past you. Like, it's happening all the time. We're just like 0.035% of the visible light spectrum. So if we could just train our being.
Yeah.
And I'd like to just say that this whole thing in my, what I've been shown, it's mirror magic. So mirror magic is why this is the way this is. And in original senses, the duality of the mirror, that's why today I've been in doubles, because this is what they're teaching me all day so far, is that there's mirror magic and doubles and twins, and this is these dualities and polarities, and that this is, our planet is in a magnetic pole reversal. We're going through even if you look at the energy discharging out of the earth, there's actually electrical lightning coming out of the earth. She's igniting her Merkaba, just like our Merkabas are igniting from within, and it's creating a energetic quantum release. And it's because in this mirror magic, our pineal gland is the seat of our soul. And so as the seat of our soul, it's our receiver. That's why it sees in pictures like light, because it's a receiver. And so it's the mirror, and then it projects the image. And so this is what, if you will, dark forces can appear as anything, be anything. It's just you'll know it by its vibrational signature, because it has force. It doesn't hold source. It operates through force. And so something that is of the non-benevolence isn't going to project into you this forceful energy. They're going to share and emanate like the sunlight and warmth and life energy, life-giving energy. So our pineal gland has been shut down. Well, now it's been calcified, intentionally through the poisoning of fluoride, not to mention with the chemtrails or the aluminum oxide and various other elements, and our diet and our nutrition and the energies of what we, like sponges, because we are water mostly. Water is the holding, receiving element that then conducts and send cymatics, energy and messaging and patterning through our body. So it's really just all about receiving and then vibrating and then projecting. And so if you have forces of energy that want to superimpose and then magnetically or like brainwash you, mind control you to believe and to feel and experience essentially. Yeah, this goes back to the ancient days of Atlantis where the priests began to force their will upon us and adapt us, condition us, groom us to become slaves, which, you know, we are the sons and daughters of the gods that we have been made in the image of. So for 1 second for us to believe we are a slave is not a natural belief. It's not an innate knowing. Something had to condition us to believe in that. And so it's been like a cavity in a tooth, rotting away, creating all these holes, all these cavities, all these entrance points into our auric and into our being. And then now it's like a tooth that's gone infected and abscessed. And so now that's why there's such a deep, powerful, right from within the core matrix of all life, this huge building treasure point that I feel is, you know, some of us are diffusing it, but it feels like it really wants to supernova or at least micronova and have a big gigantic release that, like a dog ridden with fleas, will shake all this stuff off of it.
Yeah.
You know, out of the psyche. Like in yoga, we do the Shiva shake, and you Shiva shake so that you can shake off all the shit that wants to cover your mind's eye, like, you know, bug insect carcasses on your car when you're driving down the highway and there's a lot of bugs out. You can't see nothing. So, I mean, basically, we're window washing right now. But all this stuff is old programming and conditioning from, you know, the fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sticking to us because we're sticky. We're very sticky and they're very tricky.
Yeah, true.
What do you think on downloads, Robin? Like, sometimes, in my opinion, I mean, there's different ways that you can. It can be an instantaneous kind of thing. Like, for instance, with me, I think that. Well, one time I was walking through the forest and I had this big download of energy coming in through the top of my head. I could feel it, right? And I could feel the tingling or whatever. But my thought right away was, and they don't give you. They don't lead you astray when you have a thought, when you're going through something like that, or generally when you're waking up. It's usually when they're working with you, it's accurate, right? Like you can trust.
Oh
it.
yeah, 100%.
But I think that with me anyway, I think a lot of this stuff is just like put in storage. Like,
well, and that goes back to that file of facts in your brain.
Well, it's just like I got the big download, but it's not. Sometimes I get a bunch of information right away. Sometimes I think it's just like bring it out when I need it. Kind of thing.
Well, yeah, I get a lot of the need to know, and I do get the downloads, but a lot of it too, not only do you get the downloads and the need to know information, our brains are basically like a file of facts. You know those Rolodex that you have all the phone numbers in? Years ago, the business had, that's basically our brain. And a lot of it is not accessible to us. And it's almost like, and I've had this happen my whole life, you know, when it's time for something, it's like they release that file.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's what I mean.
And then you get it, whether it's big, whether it's little. They sent me to Tennessee to do some work there. And I think it was the Cumberland Mountains. I'm not familiar with the area. But so I go there and I'm thinking, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. Like they sent a foot here months before I was supposed to be there. And he's like, I'm going to take you. And I said, what do you mean you're going to take me? Every time you guys want me to go somewhere, I go. Why, you know, and he's showing me images in my mind of him putting me over his shoulder and off he's going. And I said, listen, health-wise, you do that, you'll kill me. And I'm not good to anybody dead. Like whatever it is you want me to do, I will do as long as I feel it's good. Now, I've had bad foots come to me and want me to do stuff too. And let me tell you, I don't do it. But this one I knew was good. And I said, I don't know what you want from me. And he's like, you'll know when you're there. So I go, and there were other people that had gone with me, including someone that I was close to that knew the area because I didn't know the area. So anyway, I get there and they have all these things they wanted me to.
Hold on. You mean they took them, like they were not with you, but they just brought them to the same area as you?
No, I took them because they didn't want me to have anybody with me. I was to go alone.
Oh,
and
so you actually physically went there.
No, I had to physically go there for this
Oh,
one.
okay.
A lot of times I can do, yeah, a lot of stuff I can do remotely. For whatever reason, they wanted me on site.
Yeah. The reason
So
I
I can,
asked you is because I've heard of people like they'll just take them up to a top of a mountain, but they just transport them there. But you actually
Yeah.
physically went there.
I physically, yeah, and they've done that to me as well, Brian. In
Okay.
this case, I had to physically be there. So
Okay.
I got there and they're like, we need you to do this and you need to change the energy to this color and you need to do this and you need to do that. And 99.999% of what they asked me to do, I knew. But I would be like, okay, but that doesn't make sense for me to do this here. And it's like, I could almost feel something in my brain release information. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, I can do it. You know, or they would say something. And I'm like, guys, I haven't done that before. And they would laugh and they'd be, but you know how to do it. And their famous line to me is, you've done this thousands of years before. You'll remember. And I'll be like, okay, well, are you going to let me remember? Because it's already been made clear. I'm only going to remember what they let me. You know? And it just releases it. And it's the same thing with the downloads. Now, I get a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm preparing for this download and I've got this huge download. And the only thing I can say to that, I will never denounce anybody's experience because it's theirs. I validate it and it's real because that is their experience. So I don't trash other people's experiences. I won't. But my experience is you don't have to prepare for a download. It happens. And
Right.
if you over prepare, you're blocking yourself. You need to quit getting so excited because you think you're going to get a download. Live your life just like they do. And when it's supposed to happen, it just does. When you prepare for it, you block it.
Well, that's actually a foreign concept to me, preparing for it. I didn't even know that you could do that. I just with me,
I
it's
don't
just
do
like
it. I mean, I don't.
with me.
How
they
would you
just-
prepare?
Well, yeah, with me, they just come. You know, like
It's like being like a child, right? Like children just are always in this state of awe and wonder and openness, right? I think that's why Jesus says you must come to the kingdom as a child, because it's like
Yeah.
you go in there like an adult with all your mind meddling, manipulating weird stuff. You know, it's just
It blocks
already
everything.
it's changing the whole outcome, right? Like if you just are being and you're all of a sudden like aware of, oh, I'm in like communion all of the time. And now I'm just like becoming more aware of what I'm communing with, listening maybe. That's
Yeah.
helpful. Then
I
you're
mean,
like, I'm in
yeah,
downloads every breath I take. It's
Yeah,
we're
I mean,
always in it.
yeah, I just, like I said, you know, you get information, you'll find that you get a lot more information while you're driving in the car.
oh yeah,
Um,
yes.
But
in
there's
the
a reason
shower.
for it. There's a reason for that. As you're moving through time and space, not everything can listen as easily as they do when you're in a stationary place. And so your more vital information, like I had a conversation years ago, you know, and I'm sure a lot of people already know about this, but there are certain kinds of ETs that want to destroy the Bigfoot. And they have tried and stalked them and they hunt them on a regular basis. I've seen the ships come down, I've seen them do it. But they also have now created these ETs almost like a robotic Bigfoot. And these things are trained to kill and they're lethal. I've seen them coming off the ships. They don't move or behave or act like a Bigfoot. They're very rigid, they're very stiff, but they're deadly. And I had a conversation, this was back in like 2012 about it, with one of my Bigfoots, and I kept asking him questions and he was reluctant to give answers. I got in the car and it was like everything just poured out. And I said, okay, why couldn't you tell me that before? Now I'm trying to focus driving. Well, because it's harder for other things to eavesdrop. The other thing you can do if you don't want something to listen to you, you don't want something to track you, is white noise. White noise is your best friend. You become invisible in it.
You know, so many of the things you say, like everything you've said is, it's just so confirming, you know, like it, you know, because I've had a lot of profound downloads when I'm driving.
Absolutely. That's why.
Yeah.
When you're driving and you're moving, especially if you have the radio and it's a very upbeat, you know, you don't want like these, you know, gospel music and slow love songs and that kind of stuff, because anything can hear you through there. But when you have something with a big heavy beat and it's going fast, you crank that radio up, you can't get tracked. I've had bad things try to track me and you can lose them every time in the white noise. But when you get in the car and you're moving, it's harder for things to zero in. It's harder for things to be on top of you. It's not impossible, because you can carry on complete conversations with what you're trying to connect to, but the outside things, it's harder for them because you're moving so much and you're going through time and space. So it really is, you get more clarity and you get more confirmations when you're driving.
Yeah. I
There's
agree.
a wonderful book I'm reading called Songlines, and it's from, it's like kind of an Aboriginal from Australia culture. I was thinking of Sombo a lot being out in Oz and just in kind of watching his different, experiences and interactions out there. And the idea that everything is singing, like the song lines are various different Aboriginal people following the songs. So as you're traveling, say on a walkabout, or if you're driving in a car, sailing out at sea, it's like you're in this song of the way. That's why they would go on like these deep outback journeys. They were walking, we're now driving, but you're moving through the song of the land, and you're moving into all this information. So I just drove to White Rock down in BC.
Well,
song the whole way.
Yeah, and another thing you can do, if and I learned this from a very, very dear friend of mine who I love more than life itself. She's been a blessing to me. Between her and the one in Texas, they have just been through this whole journey, just been amazing. I just love them both. But anyway, she had told me, go to the waterfalls. You want to go where the water's higher up than you so that it sprays down. Things, if it's that cold, clear water, things cannot attach to you, and it's harder for them to listen in. And you can get a lot more information from the right ones, and the bad ones are less adapt to do that. In that same respect, if you feel you have something attached to you, the best thing you can do is get in a nice cold shower. Let it be above your head, run down, push that energy off your body, which will help unattach it. And then you've got that cold water coming from above, and it flushes it down off your body and into the drain.
Yeah, it's a 0 point. It's just
And then
like
push some good energy down that drain and seal it so it's not coming back up.
I can't do cold showers. I just can't.
You can if something's trying to tear you apart, let me tell you. I don't do that either. I have fibromyalgia. Cold water is my enemy. Okay, it's like, but I tell you, if you got to, you got to.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
I'm gonna head out, guys. Thank you for inviting me into
Oh,
this.
thank you for being with us. It was
Stopping
great
in.
to hear you.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I was actually writing, and then all of a sudden it was like, come in. So
I invited about.
nice to meet you.
I invited about 20 or 30 people, and you were.
Have a nice peanut butter sandwich, peanut butter and banana sandwich. It'll make you feel good.
You do that every time I'm on the show. You have your peanut butter banana sandwich.
And I feel good, and no bad spirits.
Wonderful.
Did you know? Now, if you're doing a lot of the paranormal stuff and you're getting a lot of the woo or whatever you want to call it, high protein levels and water. Because if not, you get that weird metallic-y taste, you get a headache, you feel the exhaustion, whatever. High protein and water, and it's the only way to balance it out.
I've been putting shungite. Well, I've had shungite in my water for years, but noble shungite makes carbon C60. It's the Buckeye balls, little, fuller Buckeye, the Buckeye balls, where it's like these like nice little crystallized water that just helps your body to become a conductor. And I feel like with all the 5G and all these EMFs, like shungite is one of the allies that we can use to help us with all this nervous system attack. And then putting flowers, like Sasquatch was teaching me, put St. John's wort in your water, put the clover in your water, put the dandelions in your water, put the raspberry leaf and the lemon balm and everything you got growing all around you, put it in your water and drink this. And that's how they drink the water. They added things into like a potion or something, like a sun tea, all these flower medicines. So that, and hydration, absolutely, because you're constantly flushing old programming, old conditioning, old thought waves, old memories, what have you.
Elimination's where it's at.
You got it.
If you don't
Constipation
eliminate,
is stagnation.
you can't
That's how
accumulate.
the funk grows. Well, cheers, guys. Blessed
Thanks for
be.
stopping
Take care. It was lovely to meet you.
Yeah, you're like a mama. The Sasquatch told me you came right from the matrilineal lines, and you.
Everybody
crossed
tells
over.
me that. That's so
Yeah.
funny you say that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're here to be a bridge between us and them. So
Oh, how wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, trust in her. She's got the good.
What about me? What do they say about me?
They don't
You're
like
an old Star Lord, and you're like kind of the earthen crystalline matrix. Everybody has a different signature that I pick up on, anyways.
Okay.
Maybe it's true, maybe it's not.
Okay. What about me then? I gotta say it. May as well get.
Yeah, crystalline. You have the crystalline, that crystal, kind of like old Lemurian crystal people. But Michael is more Star Lord. You feel like you came right from like Sirius. You've got this whole Syrian, like very wise, very. Everybody just has different signatures, right?
Did you say I'm a
They
Lemurian
do.
crystal people?
Say what?
Would you say I'm Lemurian crystal people?
Yeah, like I feel crystalline, like old bones of the earth, like the rocks, the stones, and the crystals are like the
Yeah.
power of the earth.
And
Oh,
that's-
that
Sid, you
so
need more.
totally sounds like you.
You need more. You're a need more being.
Well, you're very holding all this stuff. So what they show for me is, you know, as they do with crystals, where you put them in salt or you bury them in the earth, you got to clear, you know, what you're holding, because you're like a programmer.
No,
So
what I had a reading from a lady. Actually, it was oh man, this brain fog going on with all these changes. Teresa actually said that she saw me in a past life working with crystals and stuff, like, and I was doing stuff with them, and that, wow, that's amazing, because you just kind of confirmed that. Nice.
That's awesome.
So I'm more down to earth. I'm more down to earth than you, Mr. Beans. I always knew that anyway, but.
Well, one of the reasons why I don't have problems with demons or energies or anything, that kind of stuff, is because I learned a long, long time ago how to rip open the fabric of time and space and take my enemies and stick them in the void where they'll never be touched and never move again for eternity. And this kind of makes them feel a little bit hesitant to mess with me.
no doubt, that's
From
a
the
very
time I was
big-
about 25 years old, I really haven't had any problems with that kind of stuff.
Why haven't you done that with me?
Well, it's
You're
kind
already in the void.
It's kind of like the worst thing you can do to any being, because what happens is to spend an eternity in the void, your essence just dissipates. But it takes a very long time, and then you do not exist anymore. You're reabsorbed into the thing. So as an identity, it's not a nice thing to do. It's not a nice way of going.
No. Extreme causes call for extreme measures.
Exactly.
I just don't play. You know what I mean? In order to be,
You're like the gangsta of the Saw
be
Nation.
psychic and to interface with all the different creatures out there, you do have to have amount of vulnerability and openness, and be willing to allow energies in and then move them out and protect yourself and all that kind of stuff.
I was gonna say,
I'm
I
not
mean,
doing that. You know?
yeah,
I'm
and
not
see,
doing
they
that. I'm
know.
not in that role.
You know, I'll zap ass if I have to. I don't care.
Yeah, we all got that
you know-
power. We're not slouches when it comes to power.
No, not at all.
I always thought of Mr. Beans as a spiritual gangster.
Totally. Totally. Mafia. My daughter. It's interesting how, like, you know, religion, I'll just say this before I go, it comes from Latin, it's religio, and it's realignment. So when you think about a religion, like, you know, my godfather was a priest, a very visionary priest, was very successful in bringing schools and churches, marrying, burying, baptizing thousands of people. And you begin to see like what he was doing was like a spiritual chiropractor, you know, like he's trying to realign people, like the good red road. If you stay on the good red road, you know, you don't fall off and wander off into detours and get all lost up in the muck. The natives say stay on the good red road, and when you fall off, then the spiritual chiropractor comes in and resets and realigns you, which is what some of the original religion, I believe, was meant for, was to help us get back from where we had gone astray. And then, of course, like I say, there's mirror magic. So then they take it, they invert it, revert it, pervert it. Bam, you've got now what it is present day. What it was at one point is very different than what it is today. So I believe things start off well, like homeopathy was vaccinations, first vaccinations. Vaccinations originally started off as good. And then what happens is they get a hold of these good things, like food becomes GMO.
And they ruin it.
And they ruin it. They
Every
straight up
time.
ruin it. every time. Microwave, can it, fry it, blast it, nuke it, whatever. So it's all I'm practicing, and these are more Arcturians. They're a little bit, to me, more like a kind of warrior tribe, and they're showing like it's like a 0 point. It's like right through the heart. The heart has like this capacity to, like a Care Bear stare, and you're like putting out your signature medicine. So if your signature medicine is the spiritual gangster, and yours is this bridger, and yours is this like being who can receive and project clear messaging when you polish your crystal, right? But it's like in these ways, we can, like our Care Bear, blast, if you will, like a sun, like a solar flare. We're a part of this clearing, healing, and new recreation. You know, we're hitting a tone. So why not hit that tone with your power and feed into the healing and saving, ascending vibrations, instead of getting caught up in all the caca energy. There's so much shit energy. So it's
There
like,
is.
no, thank you, actually, because the more you pull me into that shit, the more I get dirty and I can't see. And I want to see where I'm going, because I'm bringing a lot with me as I go. And so it's like staying focused. That was a religion. You know, it's to bring your mind's eye, like a meditation or a mandala, to that focus, right? So if we're focusing on clearing, 0 pointing all this disinformation, and restoring our original blueprint and our purpose, our beingness, that reset, bam, nothing can fuck with that. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
That is what is, and that is what will be, as I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like we're all in an invitation right now to get on board the mothership, because this ship is going beyond. Hail the goers, the Buddhists say. You're wanting to get beyond all this that we've fallen and now we're rising back out of. And I feel like the more we entangle into that information, and the more we'll be entangled into those informations that are dying. So it's a very liberating experience to sow these seeds of positive transformation, healing, forgiveness, repair, right? That is the mantra of the ages.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm going to go do more of that back out in the forest where I like to go. So
Yeah.
thank you. Bless you.
If there
Oh,
were-
it was wonderful to meet you.
Yeah.
Take care.
Beautiful.
Thanks for
Bye.
stopping in, Hillary.
Yeah, thanks for popping in the invitation, right?
Well, like I said, we sent invitations out to maybe 30, 40 people, and thanks for showing up. Yeah.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
We got some more people who said they're going to be coming the next show, or they were late or whatever.
We do.
Some people had the gall to say they were working and they couldn't make it. I don't. That's not an
Why don't they
excuse.
just retire? I mean, come on. You get an opportunity to be in the Pork and Bean Show for Pete's
I
sake.
know.
I know. You think they'd have paid leave at work for that?
If
Yeah,
I
I said,
wasn't,
listen, I gotta go. I'm getting a call from God or something. They
I
should
quit my job right on the spot. I quit
Absolutely.
I quit a 7
They
figure.
don't know the power of the pork and beans. That's the issue.
No.
By the way,
He had this excuse about, he's up on this, one of these man crane things, and he's painting some shutters on the top of this commercial building. Like, that's an excuse. That's not an excuse just because he's
Take
up on
your
a crane.
phone up with you.
He had his phone there with him. Yeah.
Exactly.
well, we've been going on almost 3 hours, but I want to go for another 10 or 15 minutes at least, because I want to talk to you a little bit more. But do you know any pork? What's your favorite brand of pork and beans, by the way, Robin? Or do you have a good pork and beans recipe?
Okay, here's the thing. I am the world's pickiest eater. I'm terrible. Pat will eat pork and beans all day long. He gets like the Bush's pork and beans. He loves them.
Oh,
I would not eat a bean if it was the only thing to keep me alive.
Bean free. You're bean free.
I'm bean free. I am telling you, I am a terrible eater. There's very few things I like.
Well,
Pat, on the other hand, will eat everything.
Well, why didn't you tell us that before the show? We wouldn't have had you on then.
I'm faking it. I'm faking it for the pork and bean love right now.
You see, she was deceiving us the whole time, Mr. Beans.
So what do you eat? You don't eat
You
grits,
didn't-
you must eat oatmeal. Do you eat oatmeal?
Nobody
Is
eats
that what it
grits.
is?
Oh, I
Nobody
love
eats
oatmeal.
grits.
Oatmeal's
Who eats
fantastic.
oatmeal?
Yeah,
Oatmeal with brown sugar.
absolutely. A little bit of milk and brown sugar,
Perfect.
like slathered in brown
See,
sugar.
you never told me that I had to eat pork and beans or I wouldn't have come on to begin with.
See?
But I will eat oatmeal.
Oh, okay. Well, it's too late now, so I guess we're just gonna have to.
We're stuck with each other now.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Well,
what did the Sasquatch telling you? What is the Sasquatch message to you for us? I know.
They want to be acknowledged for the people that they are. They want their ways and their lifestyle to be acknowledged. They really do want to live in peace. But they want people to know they are not going to be able to live by our rules any more than we can live by theirs. They want people to be copacetic with each other. We can live amongst each other without war, without pain.
Yeah.
And that's really all they want. They want to be allowed to exist and live their lives, to raise their children.
Yeah. How can they, we can't even live with each other. How are we supposed to live?
No. No, and that's the whole thing. It's really sad because we're intolerable to each other as a species.
Right.
And I hate to say that but it's the truth.
Well, look at
There's so much we could learn from them, but we don't. Our people think that we're higher than anybody else, and they will not allow anybody that has anything to teach us because we're too busy and being hell-bent being perfect that we're not.
Yeah.
I think you're being hard on Bigfoot researchers.
No, I'm not talking to Bigfoot researchers, but there are a few.
Yeah.
But overall, our world is not kind to each other, and they want that for us as well. They don't just want things for them, they want things for all of us.
Yeah, they want to raise our vibration so that we can join the intergalactic family or whatever too. And I think, and also,
They don't want us to bring their vibration down. That's a big one.
Yeah.
when I got that love, what I call the love zap or whatever, no judgment, universal love, I thought of it, and a big, huge download or whatever. That's where they reside, and there is no judgment, there is no fear, which is something I have now. They've taught me I don't fear anything because of their teachings. There's nothing to fear, and that's what they're trying to, I think, to bring us up to that understanding, because that's when everything changes, when we live in that vibration. I guess you would agree with that.
They want us to learn how to love each other. They want us to learn how to work alongside of each other. They want as much for us as our human species as for theirs.
Right.
There doesn't have to be this conflict. There is, that being said, there will always be a certain amount of conflict. The cosmic balance is good and evil. That's what, it can't be all good, it can't be all evil, but you can find a way to make it livable and somewhat peaceful for everybody so we don't have the conflict that we have. And that's what they want.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I know when I was in that vibration of that love zap, I couldn't hate anything. I couldn't judge anything. Everything was.
Isn't that amazing?
Everything, the connection, I felt the connection to everything. I felt like I was an eternal being, all that stuff. That's what I think that's our true nature. And I think that's what they're trying to introduce us to.
And I call that their virtual hug and love, because it is the purest love that we will ever encounter, that we will ever experience. And our people have not made it to that level yet.
When I got that zap, I was instantly weeping.
I did too.
Crying my eyes out.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. They've done it to me several times. Like I'll do a job that they've asked me to do, and they'll be grateful, and they'll give me the virtual love and hug thing, and it will literally make you weep.
Yeah, I've driven into my area, and just they're giving me that greeting, and it's just
because they're happy you're there.
Yeah, and I just start crying my eyes out, and it's just like.
Exactly.
I'm making noise and everything. I'm, like.
Oh, I got some new comments. Let me check them out.
Who?
I said we have some new comments.
Uh-oh.
We don't want to throw a peanut
Oh,
gallery.
just Lucy Jane says, sorry, I missed it. Well, little do you know, this is going to be eternal, Lucy. We're going to keep on going. You know, this may be 6 or 7 o'clock tonight. Oh, Peter John Graham. Me like to join in, but Zoom want password. What password?
Uh,
I didn't have to do a
I
password.
don't know if we have time. Do we have time?
No.
I've got about 5-10 minutes, then I
Yeah,
have to
I don't
be
think we
somewhere.
have time for Mr. Graham this time. Unfortunately.
I mean, we can do it another time, but
look, listen.
Teresa Warren says they need us to be at peace.
they do. Absolutely.
I want to have you and Pat on together. I mean, I
We would
feel like
do
I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface.
No, not really.
I mean, you know, you've got way too much knowledge for just like, we all do for like a couple hours, right? I mean,
Yeah.
can't even scratch the surface of it. So we definitely want to have you back. And
Rhonda Elliott. Bye-bye, T. Love to see you on Sunday.
who?
That was
Bye-bye
Rhonda
who?
Elliott.
Oh, bye, Teresa. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, in closing, do you want to tell us one of your favorite story or whatever, or give us something to blow our mind, and then we'll
Oh my God, I don't even know where to start.
just give us something neat, you know, whatever.
Yeah, well, we found out a long time ago the easiest way to get pictures of them is, and I don't like my picture taken. I hate it, but we would take pictures and they would show up in the background.
Right.
You know, when we moved here, the first time we moved here, we had a hurricane. Go ahead.
Excuse me. Have they ever taken pictures off your camera, remove them?
Oh, constantly.
Yeah. I've had that happen a lot. So, okay.
Yeah, I put them on different flash. I have to play hide the photo.
One time I had them remove it off 4 different things, like, and from 3 different people.
Yep.
Or like all at the same time. So go ahead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a video of one of the kids here. His name is Zerky, and him and his mom and his dad play up and around my house all the time. And Zerky goes through my bushes and he climbs up, you know, and he tears them all apart. And they built tunnels all the way through my bushes on the one side and then down the other one. And I have my security camera and you can see one of them, you see a white one walking between the cars. And then you see one sitting on the porch and it looks like this gigantic, I don't know if it was Zerky or who, but I'm 5'9". And he at the time was probably my size. He was only 4 or 5. So he was about between 5 to 5.5 feet tall. But he's sitting, his build is so big, he's sitting on my porch. And you see the shadow, I mean, you see the darkened figure of him sitting on my porch. The next day I went out and I sat on the same porch and I looked at it through the security camera and you couldn't see me. So yeah, his mom's name is Milwaukee. The dad's name is Shenandoah. And Shenandoah stands right across, I live on a dirt road out in the middle of the woods. And he stands right across from my house. And then he's got 3, I always call him the 3 wise men. Everywhere he goes, these 3 follow him. And they're always sitting over there and they keep an eye on Zerky while he's playing in these bushes. And he comes up, he gets on the porch. We have feral cats, and of course I feed them too. So I've got a pan that's bolted to my banister for their food because the dog next door used to come and steal the bowl every night. So I've got it bolted up there for the feral cats, and he comes up there and he'll reach in, he'll take all the cat food. And his mom, she's very protective. She's sweet. She's gray and black. She's like a silver, like a salt and pepper colored. And she came running through one night and just dove in those bushes. But they gutted and make tunnels all along that one side. Now this summer, they've let that grow up a little bit and they're working on the other side. So now they're going up and down that side. But they've got a portal in there, and my cat got out one night and I was trying to catch him, and he went down. He was coming right back up to me, and all of a sudden he stopped, his head went up, his ears perked up, and he made a beeline for that portal. And I thought, shit, here we go. So I followed him down there, and he walked all the way into the bush where the portal was at, stopped, turned around, and looked at me like he was saying goodbye, and he literally dematerialized going into that portal. It was 3 days. I was so mad and I was so upset. And Pat's like, I'm telling you guys, you better bring that damn cat back or she is going to blow this world apart. Like, you better get the cat back because she is now ticked. And the one that I'm really close to kept saying, we're trying. It's the other ones that have it, which is a different plan. And he's like, and the kids have it, you know, and da-da-da-da-da. And they brought him back. I mean, they absolutely brought him back. He came right back out the same way he came in.
But it was crazy. He disappeared right in front of my eyes.
Yeah. So you said the little ones, that the little one like cat food?
Oh yeah, he loves it. He's forever taking the cat food.
That's funny because my friend Randy Brisson, who was kind of like one of my first mentors up here, who took me out into the woods.
Yeah.
Very first
Oh,
time.
Randy's awesome.
Yeah.
Love Randy.
Yeah, me too. Well, I mean, I started having my experiences like right the first day out with him, right? And he said that they love cat food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do. They're always stealing the cat food.
Do you think the cat actually knew what it was doing? Because when it turned around and looked at you, it was like, I'm going to go now. Do you think
Yeah.
your
I
cat
think
knew
that
what
they
was
used
up?
mind control on him to keep him calm and to get him to go where they needed him to go. And that
Okay.
portal, that was actually one that was low to the ground where a lot of them are hanging up in the air. And they have gutted that whole underside of that brush in there. It looks like a big cavern in there. It's all cleared out. Plants won't even grow under there. And he trotted right down there. He had never been back there a day in his life. He trotted down there. He knew exactly where he was going. He knew what he was doing. He went into it. He turned around and looked at me like, no problem, I'll be back. And he just disappeared. I was like, what the hell? And Pat kept telling him, she's going to be out there zapping your asses. If somebody doesn't get this cat back soon. Pat went all over out in the woods, everywhere looking for him. Couldn't find him. He just popped back out of the portal one night.
Awesome. Hey, do you notice, and I mean, we had maybe one glitch or something, but do you notice that ever since I said you got to get them to quit interfering, we've had pretty good reception. We've had pretty good reception ever since.
Yep. They
Something.
play with my electronics all the time,
Yeah.
constantly.
Well,
Yeah, they always
hey,
come
this
in-
is
they
important.
always
You got to
come in-
allow us to say this. It seemed like we didn't have any issues. What were you saying, Beans?
No.
They always come and visit the show. They tell you to calm down.
Right. Well, yeah, we just had a glitch a few minutes ago. I think they're telling us it's time to wrap it up, guys.
Yeah.
But what I want to do
This has
is,
been great, you guys.
I was supposed to have a gathering this year up in BC with the clan of our,
Yeah.
whatever. I was going to invite a bunch of
Still
people.
might happen. It might the last minute. It might happen.
No, it's not going to happen with anybody from the States. They're not going to allow it. But I'm going to try to have it next year, and I want to have you and Pat up.
We would love to.
Maybe Mr.
Absolutely love it.
You'd love the energy up here. You won't believe it. It's
Yeah, my son lives in Vancouver.
Yeah.
He actually lives on the Musqueam Reservation.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
He does archival work for them and linguistics, and yeah, he works with them constantly. That's where he works.
But
And my daughter-in-law works at BC College.
Yeah. But the last year I had it, last year, everybody who came, the Sasquatch gave them something that they needed. They healed them in some way, or they opened their eyes in some way. And it was
Their healing
I was just
abilities.
I was just sitting back. Like I saw a couple, but I didn't have like some of the amazing experience other people have. My amazing experience is watching my people work with all these people that came in, and it was just like so loving and gratifying.
It's like a gift.
It made me cry. Like it's just like, my God, the love that they're giving to all these
They
people.
have, and that's what people don't understand. Yes, there are bad ones, but there's bad in our people too. We can't just seclude it and say, because they're a Sasquatch, it's worse because they have bad people. What about our people? And I'll be honest with you, we have far more bad people than they do.
Yeah. I've never experienced a bad one, but maybe that's just because my guys are so loving, they keep me away from them or something. But
yeah, the ones that are around me,
what?
The ones around me constantly are just the most loving, caring. I don't know what I would do without them in my life. They're just a massive blessing. The ones that I've dealt with that are aggressive, I've been called out to those areas to help with.
Well, obviously they're very loving and
love. That's a good way to end the show.
Absolutely. We need more love.
We need more love and more SpongeBob SquarePants.
Okay.
Hey, don't ever knock the Bob. I love SpongeBob. Hey, I married Patrick. I'm just
Patrick Swayze?
No, but Pat's name is Patrick. And I love SpongeBob, so I'm just going with I married the starfish Patrick.
Oh, I thought you said you married Patrick Swayze.
Oh, who lives in a pineapple under the sea? SpongeBob SquarePants. SpongeBob SquarePants.
How do you know that?
I just watched him yesterday, so we can't knock him
Little
out.
and yellow and porous, you see? SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah, I watched SpongeBob yesterday with my granddaughter. I'm telling you.
I think once Popeye went off the air, I stopped watching.
What kind of a Sasquatch enthusiast are you? Everybody knows this SpongeBob SquarePants is the favorite show of all Sasquatch in the nation.
Well, I mean,
Favorite show. When they look at the
They
window,
would
they're hoping
sit
it's
outside the window so they can look in and watch the TV. They
What-
used to drive my kids nuts because all my kids had TVs in their room, and my boys would be watching movies. And they came out one day and they said, "Mom, this is creeping me out." And I said, "Why?" And they said, "There's 3 of them in the backyard. They're sitting Indian style, watching in the window." So it was like a drive-in movie theater.
you know what's so funny about that? In 2012, when I first, when they called me to the woods and got me, you know, like they said, you have to go to the mountains. Then I met Randy Brisson. Everything, then they connected me with everybody, and now I'm connecting people. It's just like a big.
It's amazing.
Yeah, but some
It's
lady.
an honor. I look at it that it's just an honor.
Oh, it absolutely is. It's not anything about us. It's just such a loving.
No, I'm constantly going, why me? Like, I'm a nobody. I'm a nothing. Why me?
Oh, no, you're a special lady. But the thing is,
Oh, thank you.
that is very, very funny again, is that I was at a conference in 2012, and I met this lady, and she was telling me, yeah, the Sasquatch come and watch TV at our place. And I was,
They do.
okay. I mean, it's kind of, you know, I wasn't really at the point where, I mean, I didn't really not believe it, but it just seemed a little far out for me, right? But yeah, but that was like early on for me, right? So
Yeah.
it's amazing, yeah. Okay, so we loved having you on the Pork and Beans
Oh,
show.
thank you. I loved it too.
Absolutely
It was
loved you.
wonderful.
We're gonna have Pat on, you guys together. We're
Definitely.
gonna have you up here to my area and blow your mind.
Oh, absolutely. We can't
And,
wait.
Igor too when he comes to
And
town.
Igor, as soon as I get him here.
Oh, I don't know if I want to. Igor was, when I met Igor at Kelly's thing, he was, I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm meeting. I can't believe it. It was like, Igor, settle down.
It's okay. In Russia, it's okay. It's normal to have a man crush.
Yeah, but you know, like we're sitting, there was a dozen people around, and he's yelling, I can't believe it. I can't. Igor.
Yeah.
settle down.
He was so comical. He was here last summer, end of the summer into the fall, and he was here. Janice Carter was here, and I was here. And I get up, and he's like, "What were you doing?" And I said, "What do you mean?" "Well, what were you doing? What were you and Janice doing this morning?" And I said, "Sleeping."
Yeah.
No, you were outside my window. And he had taken over my dining room as his office.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he has his own room at my house, but he also was in the dining room. He had his computer, everything set up. He says, "I was down here working and you were under the windowsill talking." And I said, "Yeah, because I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. so I can sit under the window and speak in a language you can't understand." That is not going to happen. I've known you too many years. The thrill is gone. I do not have to get up that early to talk.
So anyway,
And I'm like, "Igor, my house is built because I'm in South Carolina. It's built 5 feet off the ground for hurricane season.
You see what I'm
So
saying?
there's plenty of room to get under there." And they do. They sit under the window all the time. They'll sit there and you'll see an arm come up in front of the window and then go back. They're sitting there and they're talking in their language under the windowsill.
I think Igor likes me so much because of my glyph stuff and the structure.
Oh, it is.
Because that's what he's right into, right? He's
Yeah.
right into it.
I want you to pay attention to her camera feed starting to glitch out. I'm saying it's to push.
Yeah,
the
I know.
button.
That's why we're gonna have to get going. But anyway, everybody, thanks everybody for coming, especially the Sasquatch who we hear.
Oh,
I can
thank
feel.
you guys both for having me. This has been wonderful.
Yeah. We
I
love
love
you,
you
Rob.
guys.
Oh, and by the way, you're going to be part of the Pork and Beans family now, so you'll be going up on the Pork and Beans
I'm
family.
going to love it.
Yeah. So we love you. God bless you. And
Well, I love you guys. Thank you so much. This is
Bye.
wonderful.
Push the button.
I'm going to get a hold on a minute. Hold on a minute, buddy boy.
He's pushing a button on me.
And then I'm going to get a hold of you after the show, after the fact, and talk to you about that head fog and some of that stuff.
Not a problem.
So we love you. You're a official member of the Pork and Beans family
Oh,
now.
thank you. You guys are the
Alumni.
best.
She's an alumni.
Yeah. So from
Yes.
Cunningham,
Bye.
Frank Oliver Bynes, thank you very much, and thank you everybody for watching. And we will see you next time. We love
Bye.
everybody. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Fort Cunningham here. This is the part of the show that we affectionately call the
pork and beans clusterfuck moment of the day.
Work it out at the gym to fit my underwear. Oakley makes the shades a transformer tool. You'd hate for the kids to think that you lost your cool. I'ma do the things that I wanna do. I ain't got a thing to prove to you. I leave my candy with the pork and beans. Excuse my manners if I make a scene. I ain't gonna wear the clothes that you like.
Okay, I'm recording in case we do something really ridiculous, and then we can keep it in the show.
Absolutely. I was going to tell you, you gotta.
I'm recording right now. because-
Oh, thank you,
because-
God. Thank God you're recording because I needed to know. But hi, Robin.
Hey, sweetie, how are you?
I'm eating my breakfast.
Oh,
That's
go for it.
grit.
What
That's
is that?
grits. Grits with an egg.
Oh my goodness. I'm not a grits person. Everybody tries to get me to do grits. I'm a Michigan girl. I may live in the South and say y'all now and then, but I'm a Michigan girl.
You should taste my grits. They're fantastic. Look, I got greens in them. See the greens?
Ooh.
Okay, surprise you lose me. The eggs I could do, but not the greens.
I'm not like everybody else. I'm the one that gets you. I will say that I feel fine. I will say that I'm surprised. I'm not like everybody else. I'm not like everybody else. Like everybody else.